Don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle. We're live. We're local.
What are you going to miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, happy Monday. Welcome in. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, coming at you live on 1410 Wing AM, and of course live at wingam.com. Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show. That's where you could watch the show live right now and, of course, interact with us as well. You can leave your opinions and comments in the comments section, and I would think that today, of all days, it's going to be a very busy Monday. So much to get into. Of course, Lincoln Riley, now the new head coach for the USC Trojans. The Pac-12 finally going to have a championship contender, or are they? We'll talk about that coming up around the corner. What are some of the snowball effects that could stem from Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma and taking over the USC job? We'll get into that. Ohio State losing over the weekend against that team up north. And we knew it was only a matter of time. We knew that the Ohio State was going to slip at some point, right? Like, we didn't actually think that Ohio State would just spend the next 200 plus years dominating Michigan. I mean, they had to kind of throw them a bone a little bit, right? Like, that's what happened over the weekend. And that's what we'll open up with. The Cincinnati Bengals, people were kind of surprised yesterday. I didn't really have any smart-ass things to say about the Bengals. Look, they're playing really good football right now. In fact, I wasn't a believer of the Bengals when the season first started. I know, shocker, right? I wasn't a believer of them when they started out hot as well. You know, they were 5-2, 5-3. I wasn't buying in. The Bengals are doing something coming out of the bye week for the last 2 weeks that is different than what they were doing before. And I'll tell you what that is, and I'll tell you why that's going to lead to them being more successful moving forward. We'll talk about that. The Cleveland Browns, they sure suck, huh? I got nothing, man. I'm not even trying to defend the Browns at this point. Look, it is what it is. Baker's hurt. Baker's not an elite quarterback when healthy. When he is healthy, when he's not healthy, I don't know really what you're expecting at this point. But surprisingly enough, Baker Mayfield was actually one of the few Cleveland Browns actually the only Cleveland Browns offensive player outside of Jarvis Landry yesterday that showed up. That's it. Baker wasn't elite yesterday. Wasn't great, but he's the only one that showed up and was at least trying to put the ball in play to move the ball up and down the field. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, where were they? Offensive line letting Baker get destroyed the entire night. What the hell's going on? I know it's the Ravens, but my goodness. Wide receivers dropping balls left and right. Oh, yeah, that's on Baker. Now, what was on Baker? Wide left, wide right, overthrows, throwing short is what it is. I mean, that's what you're going to get with Baker. But when you do get the damn ball right in the hands of a receiver, catch it. Catch it. All I've heard today on social media and on the shows on ESPN, Jalen Hurts. Poor Jalen Hurts. His receivers dropping passes for him. Oh, Jalen Hurts, he's an elite receiver, or he's an elite quarterback in the making. If only his wide receivers can catch for him. That's on Baker's too. Baker's not likable. Baker talks a lot of smack. It's hard to feel sorry for him. And because of that, that's why he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt that a lot of other quarterbacks do. I'm sorry, but the quarterback or whatever he is, Lamar Jackson, I'm sorry. I don't care that he throws sidearm. I mean, what does he think? He's Randy freaking Johnson? I mean, the guy threw 4 interceptions yesterday in the media. Chris Collinsworth. I mean, my goodness, he is nauseating. Look, him calling a damn Ravens game. You know how people used to rip Tom Brenneman for Kyle Schwarber? I mean, Tom Brenneman just loved to remind you that Kyle Schwarber was from Middletown. And he would bring it up every time as if it was the first time we're ever hearing this. Kyle Schwarber's from Middletown? My goodness, I had no idea. He loved bringing that up. That's Chris Collinsworth with Lamar Jackson. He loves bringing up, the sidearm throw. The sidearm throw that everybody is doing. Baker even threw a couple sidearm throws in yesterday's game. Never heard a peep out of Chris Collinsworth's mouth. Not that I need Baker to be praised for that. I don't care how Baker throws. I don't care if Baker throws behind his back, under his legs, around his head. Just complete the damn passes, would you? But Lamar Jackson throws 4 interceptions. 4! And they still talked about him as if he is this just God's gift to earth. Lamar he's one of the best football players in the NFL, not one of the best quarterbacks. Somehow the Cleveland Browns found a way to frickin' lose, intercepting him 4 times. You held the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. You intercepted him 4 times. You held him to 16 points. You still couldn't win the damn game. I'm not defending Baker. I'm not defending the Browns. I'm not defending any. That's a disaster. And the Browns have a habit of playing good defensive games while looking ugly doing it. Remember when they held the Pittsburgh Steelers to 15 points? They still looked ugly doing that. The Browns have actually done a good job on multiple occasions of holding teams to low-scoring games, but between not being disciplined, between all the penalties, this stuff gets old. I'm about to cuss. That's how frustrated I am. I don't believe that the Browns are overrated. I believe that the Browns were properly rated. That roster, you deserve to. You made the playoffs with this roster a year ago. You won a playoff game with this roster a year ago. They're not overrated. They deserve to be rated where they were at coming into the season. They also deserve all the criticism coming their way because I got nothing. It's exhausting defending them. It's exhausting. It really is exhausting. Matt James on Facebook says, that Cleveland is very average. They are. Look, Matt, they keep scoring in like the 7s and 7 points, 10 points, 14 points. They're below average, man. Offensively, they're below average. And that's with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That's with having an offensive play caller in Kevin Stefanski. That's with that offensive line. Now, to be fair, that offensive line has not been a full unit all year. Now, most teams aren't. Injuries usually play a role in that. I didn't even mean to open up with the Browns. And here we are, 13 minutes in. I can't help myself. We'll get back into the Browns here in a little bit. I do want to talk about the Bengals. I have nothing bad to say about the Bengals. They have annihilated the Pittsburgh Steelers twice this year. I know the score is like 21-10 the first time they played. Okay, it is what it is. But they literally, there's something about the Bengals that I like when it comes to the Steelers. They don't fear the Steelers. Like the Steelers used to have this, and even last year, we knew Pittsburgh was bad last year. Even they started out 11-0. Pittsburgh didn't intimidate me as a fan. Hold on, let me reset that. I lied. When the Browns were playing Pittsburgh, I knew it was a bad Pittsburgh team, but they still intimidated me as a fan, is my point. They intimidated me because it's still the Steelers. It's Pittsburgh. It's Mike Tomlin. It's Ben Roethlisberger. They still got, they got Minka. They got good weapons on the defensive side. That last year, they had that intimidation even when playing bad football. They don't have that this year. And I give a lot of credit to Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow does not they don't head to Heinz Field and fear him. They didn't welcome him into Paul Brown and fear him. They just took it right into Pittsburgh. They didn't look at Pittsburgh and think twice about them. It's just a bad Pittsburgh team, and they did what Cleveland should have done a couple weeks ago, and that's wipe the field with them. Kudos to the Cincinnati Bengals not looking to split in the division. All right, there is something about matchups. For whatever reason, this Bengals team has given Pittsburgh fits. They've beat Pittsburgh 3 straight times. And Cincinnati looks really good. They're more consistent than Cleveland. They are better than Cleveland right now. Happy? Okay. But there's something about the Browns when they play Cincinnati. They play their best football. Don't know what it is. They hate Cincinnati as much as I do, apparently. But like the way that they're dominating the Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers are to Cincinnati what the Bengals are to the Browns. Just a punching bag. The Browns have dominated Joe Burrow in the Cincinnati Bengals. Baker Mayfield has never lost to Joe Burrow. He's only lost once to the Cincinnati Bengals since coming over. Joe Burrow can't beat Cleveland. He's not going to beat Cleveland final game of the regular season. Cincinnati going to win more games than Cleveland? Possibly, unless something turns around offensively for the Browns. I'm not confident in a lot of their matchups coming up because I'm confident that I love the pass rush of Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett, but my freaking goodness, even when they play good defense, they intercept Lamar Jackson 4 times yesterday. They can't put the ball in the end zone. They're missing field goals. Special teams unit. How many times did Cleveland have to burn a timeout or get a flag thrown on them because they had too many guys on the field against special teams? If it wasn't for the penalty against the Ravens, they would have got the fake punt. They were able to pull that off somehow. I mean, give me a break. The Browns are a disaster, not talent-wise. Coaching-wise, I have no clue what Kevin Stefanski and that staff, do they control practices or do the players control the practices? Because I'm not a big Zach Taylor fan, but my goodness, I can't sit here and deny that those players, they like playing for him. There's not a lot of chirping going on. All the Bengals do is praise their teammates. They praise one another. That's all they do. It's nauseating, but it's what they do. Maybe it's jealousy on my part, but the Browns are just a soap opera. It's a disaster every freaking week. It's like they can't stand with it. It's like they don't like one another. I don't know. They're super talented. I'll take the talent of the Browns over the talent of the Bengals any day. Bengals are a better team. Browns are more talented. And when you get later into the season, like if the Browns and Bengals meet in the playoffs, which would, oh my goodness, you imagine how cool that would be? Yes, Cincinnati has been the better team. They've been healthier. They don't turn the ball. Well, they turn the ball over. I'm sorry. They're healthier and they're disciplined. That's why they're better than the Browns. They're not more talented than the Browns, but they're more disciplined and they're healthier. That's the biggest difference between the Bengals and the Browns. Not a whole lot of differences between them. And to be honest, that says more about the Bengals than it does the Browns. Because the Bengals weren't supposed to be good this year. A lot of you guys keep trying to tell me that they were supposed to be good this year. If that was the case, you wouldn't be surprised that the Bengals are doing what they're doing. You're not allowed to say you're surprised by what they're doing because you know you're surprised by what they're doing. You know it. You shouldn't be. You spend $200 million on that defense. They should be better than they should be doing what they're doing. But it is what it is at this point. I'm Justin Kinner. Appreciate you tuning in. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube. We'll open up the phone lines. Kev Nash is off today, but he did shoot me a text. He said that he will be here at 3:30 because he wants to talk Ohio State, Michigan. We are definitely going to continue talking Bengals and Browns in hour number 2. We're definitely going to talk Lincoln Riley heading over to USC. I love that move. We're definitely going to talk some Ohio State coming up here in just a few moments, Buckeye fans. By the way, so much happened over the weekend that I feel like Ohio State, Michigan, I feel like that game was ages ago, right? I mean, from the time that Michigan beat Ohio State, we almost watched Alabama go down. We watched Lincoln Riley turn down the LSU job. We watched Oklahoma fans jump for joy to spend less than 24 hours later having to bid farewell. He takes the USC job. Now we're talking about that. Jack Miller is no longer an Ohio State quarterback. You have players entering the transfer portal. You have coaches taking other jobs. I mean, my goodness, folks, the season is not even over yet. I tweeted this out earlier today. And I know I'm touching on a lot of things here to open up. We're going to kind of narrow it in coming up here around the corner. But I tweeted this out earlier today. I don't think it's a secret. It's not a hot take that bowl games don't matter. Bowl games do not matter. That's why I keep getting annoyed with you annoying Bearcat fans that continue saying, well, look how much we competed with Georgia last year. No one gives a rip about bowl games. You cared about the bowl game because you got a chance to dance on the floor with the contender. Okay? They looked at you like, I guess we got to go play an American Conference team now. All right, guys, let's go. Come on, go Bulldogs. Let's close the season out with a win, and we could take that momentum into next season. Trust me, you don't have to like it. People hate that excuse, but those games mean more to Cincinnati than it did to Georgia. I'm not impressed that Cincinnati held their own with the Bulldogs. I don't give a rip about that. People don't care about bowl games, and the coaches are telling you bowl games don't matter. The players are telling you bowl games don't matter. Look, Ohio State, Michigan ended on Saturday, about 3:30ish. Okay, 3:30 the game ends. The season's not done. You still got to prep for a bowl game. Jack Miller says, "Deuces, I'm out." I don't mind players transferring. You have the right to do it, but I think you're a real d-bag when you do that when you still have a game left. Even if you're not going to play, be a good teammate. Be a good teammate. Finish it out. And it's not just the players. It's Lincoln Riley as well. You mean to tell me Lincoln Riley couldn't have accepted that job a month later? You couldn't have communicated that? You got to bail on your players now? Because the season's over. Bowl games don't matter. Oklahoma's going to play in a bowl game. Big whoop. You know why that game doesn't matter? It doesn't matter to them. They're a Power 5 school about to be an SEC school. Oklahoma doesn't give two craps about whatever bowl game that they're going to play in. If they end up getting some smaller school that they're going to go up against, it's going to mean more to that smaller school than it is to Oklahoma. They don't give a rip. They're basically, for you, like when you're playing beer pong and you call your buddy over for a celebrity shot. Hey, celebrity shot, get over here, take this one shot. That's what Oklahoma's doing for their bowl game. They don't even know who they're playing, and they're having Bob Stoops come in to coach. Not even they didn't even have enough respect for the coaching staff to have the offensive or defensive coordinator, special teams coach, some assistant, some coach that has at least been along for the ride from the very beginning. Oklahoma didn't even allow one of them to coach the bowl game. No. We'll have Bob Stoops, who's been hanging out on Big Noon Kickoff, predicting that Michigan would beat Ohio State. We're going to have him come and coach our bowl game. Give me a break. That doesn't happen with games that matter. You don't just go call some random former coach out of the stands to come coach your team for one more game because it's an exhibition game. No one cares. Teams like the Bearcats care about bowl games because it's a shot to prove themselves against a team that's not really viewing them as an equal. That's why I don't care that Cincinnati almost beat Georgia last year. I don't care that UCF beat Auburn years ago because to Auburn, it's, oh God, we got to play this freaking team from the American Conference. Guys, it's extra time on the field. Let's just go in the season with the win or try and then move on. Look, the bowl games don't matter. The bowl games mean absolutely nothing. If it mattered, if players truly viewed it as a part of the season, Jack Miller and others wouldn't be transferring out. There's a reason that the floodgates to the transfer portal just opened up the day on Sunday, yesterday. It's not a coincidence that yesterday, unless you are a team, the 7 teams competing for a playoff spot, and that list is long, it's less than that. Unless you're one of the 5 or 6 teams that actually have a shot to make the playoff, everyone else doesn't give a rip. That's why coaches are taking other jobs. Coaches are looking at other jobs. Players are entering the transfer portal because the season's not done, but they're telling you it's done. But then you got Bearcat fans like, oh, did you see the Bearcats? They really gave it their all against Georgia last year. Stop using that lame example of Georgia and Cincinnati playing a close one. I don't give a rip about that bowl game from a season ago. The playoffs are about what you're doing this year. And these bowl games don't mean anything. That's why you have players that sit out that are going to the NFL. I'll be shocked if Chris Olave is playing for Ohio State, whether it be in a rematch against Oregon or whoever they could potentially be playing come this bowl game coming up. There's a reason that years ago, I had a lot of people angry at me in Buckeye Nation because I called Nick Bosa a quitter. Because that's what he was. He was a quitter. You don't quit on your teammates in the middle of a season. But Nick Bosa, his team had lost. They lost to Purdue, right? Like they lost to Purdue. They the year before they lose to Iowa, you had players who built. But Nick Bosa gets injured, has that season-ending injury. And what's he do? He doesn't continue going to practice every day. He doesn't continue supporting his teammates every day. The second that the Buckeyes were out of playoff contention, he bolted. Oh, I'm going to go live with my brother in San Diego because at the time Joey Bosa with the Chargers was still in San Diego. I'm going to go live with my brother and rehab there. Yeah, because Ohio State's just some little puny program that doesn't have the training facility that you need to rehab there, right? Like Ohio State, they're mid-major, right? They don't have the equipment you need to rehab properly. Give me a break. You could have stuck it out with your team. But Nick Bosa said, well, we're not in playoff contention anymore. Our season's basically done, so I'm just going to bail. And that's what he did. That's what Jack Miller did yesterday. I know people don't really care about Jack Miller. That's totally fine. Jack Miller was one of the many great quarterbacks that Ohio State had in that very deep quarterback room. You had Kyle McCord. You had Jack Miller. You obviously had C.J. Stroud. Quinn Ewers was late to the party, but he enrolled early thanks to name, image, and likeness. And it is what it is. But these bowl games mean absolutely nothing. I saw a suggestion on Twitter earlier today. Shout out to Nick. Nick had said on Twitter, well, this is why you expand the bowl games. Why? Or you expand the playoff. That doesn't make the bowl games mean anymore. You're watering it down even more. To be honest, at least right now, I still look at the New Year's 6 bowl games. Like I still like those. I think that I still think there's some kind of weight to those, and that's what Cincinnati played in. But when Georgia's looking at that and rolling their eye, when these playoff contending teams look at the playoffs and they don't make it, it means nothing to them. You expand the playoffs, and I think that it makes the bowl games feel even more worthless. Like, I don't think that it helps. I don't think there's a suggestion out there that will work in regards to making these bowl games feel like anything more than what they are, and that don't mean a whole hell of a lot. It's an opportunity for the sponsors to be able to make some money by slapping their name on a bowl game. It's an extra opportunity for your program to play on TV. Half the time, you're not playing with your full roster that made you 500 or above to even get to this bowl game. Half the time, your best players aren't even playing because they don't want to injure themselves before the NFL draft. Half of these teams are being coached by coaches who were not the head coach to start the season, or Bob Stoops. I mean, that's how watered down these bowl games are, is that Bob Stoops is being called out of the bullpen. He's being called from the big noon kickoff to come coach Oklahoma in a bowl game. Do you realize how ridiculous that is? If Lincoln Riley tested positive for COVID and was going to be out for 2 straight games in the regular season, would they have called on Bob Stoops to come out of the bullpen? No. They would have gone to next in line. They would have. It would be a respectful, professional thing to do. But because it's a bowl game and it has a little shticky feel to it, right? Like it's just, it's a little exhibition game. We can have some fun with this. We can go for the nostalgia feel. Let's bring Bob Stoops back. I like it, by the way. Like, it'll be cool to watch Bob Stoops on the sideline for Oklahoma again. But what I'm meaning by that is like, at least it's interesting to me, but I also think it's a slap in the face to the coaches and players who've been busting their ass all season just to feel like, well, the coach bailed on us. We're bailing on the conference. It's just such a weird thing. It's such a weird thing. All right, we'll be joined by Kev Nash. He's going to hang out with us for a bit as we jump back more into this with Ohio State losing to Michigan. Bengals fans, I'm going to tell you why I really like your team's chances at 4 o'clock. We're going to talk a little Cincinnati Bengals football at 4 o'clock. I'm going to tell you why I like their chances to win this division, and I'm going to tell you why I actually give them a good shot to make a run in the playoffs if they continue doing what they've been doing since coming out of the bye week. We'll talk about all that coming up. Kev Nash, he wants to talk Ohio State, Michigan, and who could blame him? I don't know why he wants to talk about that. It's such a painful memory from Saturday. We'll open up the phone lines, 518-1410, 518-1410. Let me jump in. We'll jump back into the reactions on Facebook and Twitter when we come back. 518-1410. We'll officially open up the phone lines. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, my name is Ted, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Shake is when the peppermint shake is available, that's to me sort of announces that the holiday season is here. I guess most people count down the days until Christmas, but me, I count down the days until the shake comes out.
Hi, I'm Michaela, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Milkshake is that first sip when you taste the peppermint chip pieces, it's like catching snowflakes on your tongue.
Share a peppermint chip milkshake from Chick-fil-A this holiday. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
I'm Serena Williams. You watch me live on TV.
And I'm the girl from that alien movie you watch on demand. Our worlds have been brought together thanks to DirecTV Stream.
Why are you whispering?
Because the alien will hear us.
Maybe let the alien know you can get DirecTV Stream with no annual contract.
He seems pretty excited by that, actually.
Introducing DirecTV Stream, the best of live TV and on demand with no annual contract. Get your TV together at DirecTV.com.
Requires high-speed internet and compatible device. Content varies by package and location. Restrictions apply.
From city streets to back roads, from road warrior to carpooler, there are some things you can always count on, like the reliability, durability, and power of DieHard, America's most trusted auto battery. No matter where your journey takes you, count on DieHard to get you started on the road ahead. Available at your local Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest stores.
If coming up with a perfect gift idea is making you feel a little like the Grinch, Roosters can put you in the giving spirit. For every $50 of gift cards purchased, you'll receive a $10 Roosters Holiday Buck to enjoy Roosters award-winning wings and so much more. Don't be a Grinch.
How dare you!
We all know it's better to give than receive, right? What could be better than giving and receiving? Go to roosterswings.com for more info or drop by any of our locations and purchase your gift cards today. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas from Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
This is Ice-T, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Matty Ice.
This is a cold call.
I convinced NFL teams to turn to cold water washing with Tide.
The NFL, your uniforms get dirty.
Tide can handle it, even in cold. Plus, if fans join in, they can save up to $150 on their energy bill.
Looks like you just made the team, rookie.
Turn to cold with Tide.
And that's the bottom line.
it's got to be Tide. Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines.
Hey, Chrissy, it's Leo. We're going to need some backup on Friday night, okay?
Leo's Limos needs to say I do to 4 commercial drivers.
You booked another wedding on Saturday?
Before wedding season.
No. I'll make it work.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So your wipers are streaking. It might be time for a new set. We've got a great deal to help you get the job done and be ready for the weather ahead. Right now, you can get a $15 AutoZone gift card by mail or email when you buy 2 Bosch Envision wiper blades. And we've got even more ways to shop. Just order online with our free same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
Mucinex DM's bilayer tablet allows for immediate and extended release, relieving both wet and dry coughs and loosening chest congestion for 12 long hours. Grab Mucinex DM, available at Walgreens.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Football fans, the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show is officially back. Every Sunday morning starting at 11:30 a.m., College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and Justin Kinner will be live at Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. The guys will recap the biggest games from college football Saturday, including your Ohio State Buckeyes. The guys will also get you set up for the day's biggest NFL matchups, featuring your Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, and more. It's the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show, live from Frickers on 741, Sunday mornings at 11:30 on 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
My goodness. I hit the wrong camera. I had you down here. I wasn't even in the shot. I felt like I'd taken a few shots. How you doing, Kev? I mean, a lot of your teams got beat down over the weekend.
Not a good weekend.
Actually, what the hell am I saying? You, me, and you. The damn Harbaughs, they killed me twice.
Ooh-wee. Can I get some runway?
You know what? I'm not a big believer in rants on this show. I'm not a big believer in sounding off. No, we all know that's crazy. I'm actually a big believer in taking a couple minutes off. I'm more than happy to give you the runway. Do you want some music in the background?
Do what you feel, man. Do what you feel.
And by the way, we welcome you guys back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Appreciate everyone chiming in on the Facebook feed. Go to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show, follow along there. You can watch Kev and I. And then, of course, you can follow and subscribe the ESPN Dayton YouTube channel and watch the show there. Or, of course, the old-fashioned way. Just listen to us in 1410 WING. We appreciate however you do it. But Ohio State loses to Michigan for the first time since 2011 on Saturday. Michigan executed their game plan perfectly. Your Steelers got beat down by Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I said earlier that the Steelers are to the Bengals what the Bengals are to the Browns, a punching bag. There's so much for you to, as you say, have a runway. I'm giving you the runway. I'm going to give you the music. I'll pot it down, and the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, first off, let me say congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals. Y'all beat us down week 3. You beat us down yesterday. No excuses. The defense that y'all played was outstanding. I know everybody's going to look at the interceptions that Ben threw and everything like that, but I encourage you to go back and look at what happened on the pick 6 to Hilton. The tackle is literally sitting on Ben's lap because the defensive end bull rushed him into it, and he got nothing on the throw. Hilton jumped it, pick 6, 31-0, halftime, 31-3. Ball game, lights out, turned it off, didn't watch the second half. Congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals. They're using Joe Mixon. They're running the ball. They're throwing the ball all over the lot. And you know what? When you kind of like double a big time receiver like Chase, you get one-on-one with a tall receiver like T. Higgins and you throw jump balls. And that's exactly what the Cincinnati Bengals did. Kudos to them. Number 2, watched the game last night. I am the Lamar Jackson stan. He was absolutely horrible last night. It was kind of like playing 2000 Madden with Michael Vick with an injury. He was throwing interceptions all over the place. He threw a couple to the Browns. A couple of the Browns made some great diving interceptions that John Johnson did back when he was with the Rams, looking like Denzel Ward is playing up to snuff again and everything like that. But the only person that played worse than Lamar Jackson last night,
scoot to your left. There we go. Continue.
The only person who had a worse game than Lamar Jackson last night, Stefanski. This is all on you, bruh. This loss is all on you, man. You didn't stick to the running game. I think Nick Chubb had 8 carries. So many penalties on special teams. Yikes. And what did I say early in the season? When a head coach has a background in something and they're not doing that one thing well, there's a problem. Harbaugh is a special teams coach. There's no mystery why they have the best kicker in the league. They have a Hall of Fame kicker. Think back when Jacoby Jones was their return specialist. He was taking stuff back to the house. He took a kickoff back to the house in the Super Bowl. That never happens. And what happened last night? They obviously saw something on tape that the Browns have been doing all season, and they kept running out the same formation, causing the Browns to have 12 players on the field, and they picked up a cheap first down and end up getting a field goal out of that drive, which ultimately helped them win the game. Kudos to the Browns defense. Yikes to Stefanski with the play calling and his whole overall operation. Lamar, you got to be better than you were last night if you want me to stand for you. Okay, to the reason I'm here. The reason I showed up on my day off. The Ohio State Buckeyes versus the team up north. You happy? Ken, are you happy?
I was waiting for that.
You happy now?
What?
You happy? Answer the question. Are you happy?
Yes, I was happy. Not that they lost. I was happy that the game. I was happy to see Ohio State be challenged. I'm not happy with the result, but I'm so happy to see a team challenge Ohio State. Finally, good for them. I even put it out. I was like, I'm not taking a shot at Michigan. They played their game from kickoff until the very end. They're like, it's about time. I'm not watering down what they did, but it is they can get offended by that all they want. It is about time. I do not like the result. I wanted Ohio State to still come out on time, but they're what Michigan is pumping their chest about, you should almost be happy you won, but you should also be embarrassed too, because what took so long? You are Michigan. You are supposed to be that. I'm not saying they should be kicking Ohio State's ass. I'm just saying you should be a team that is at least on par with Ohio State, and you're not. But that was a hell of a game for them, and it was not a good So, no, I'm not happy about the result. But I'm happy that finally someone put their chest out to go at Ohio State. I finally felt like Michigan was not afraid of Ohio State for the first time in almost a decade. Good for them. Bad for us, unfortunately.
Absolutely. So I'll start here. I'll start with special teams. Now, apparently, Emeka Egbuka, the return specialist, wide receiver, he's been battling injuries. So they put Justin Fleming out there, another 5-star wide receiver. Nobody remembers this, but I sure remember this. Michigan State game, he muffed a kick. Nobody remembers because it's 49-0 at halftime. What does he do the first possession of the game? He doesn't field the ball. And we start our opening drive of the biggest game of the season at the 5-yard line. So we're already off balance. Look, man, they make kickoffs so easy for you now. You just, woohoo. You don't matter where you are. Woohoo. They can't touch you. All you got to do is catch it. And you're automatically at the 25-yard line. Amazing how that works. They are setting you up for success. And you failed to do it right the first time when you're out there with Sparty. Nobody cares because it's 49-0. You do it in the big game. Oh, man, what's going on? And then they send him back out there, and he almost does the exact same thing. Justin Fleming, get it together. Coaches, get it together on special teams. Now, for our lovely offense, I think CJ played pretty good. Know who didn't play pretty good? Offensive line. And I know Shaw's listening. Shaw, I appreciate you listening. I hope you're happy. Not really, but yeah, you know what I mean. Didn't I tell you Hutchinson was going to eat? He ate 3 sacks.
I thought you meant Thanksgiving. I didn't know you meant the game. My bad.
Both.
I really could.
Both.
You had extra turkey?
Both.
Gravy?
3 sacks. This man had 3 sacks and dominated. Oh, as soon as you thought you were done and you slid protection over to him, his buddy on the other side, who I said was going to have a good game, he got himself a sack. And, oh, yeah, the time that C.J. Stroud finally decides to take off and run.
Penalty.
He draws the penalty. We could say, oh, he really slipped on the slippery turf. It really wasn't a hold. He sure showed it like it was. He James Harden the hell out of it and got that penalty out, got that touchdown off the board. They dominated. They dominated on the edge. So those two guys, the two dudes that are going to be going in the first round NFL draft, who I've been talking about all season that we need to worry about, where Shaw is telling me, oh, you know, you're going to eliminate him. Da, 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 da. I have more confidence in his team than he does. So those two dudes, 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. From those two dudes alone, our entire defense, not a sack, not a tackle for loss, not a one. Haskins, their running back, 20-some carries, like 28 carries. I don't have any notes, so forgive me if I'm off a carry or two. 20-something carries, 170 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. Don't forget that, the most important part. If a running back carries the ball 20-plus times and you can't tackle him behind the line of scrimmage once, what is going on here? What is going on? Another point. Ohio State is running a 4-2-5 versus a team that is saying, we're going to play bully ball. You're putting an extra defensive back on the field when they're running the ball down your throat. Seems like you should have another linebacker on the field, a bigger body to take on bigger blocks. Nope, we don't decide to do that. So everybody that's talking about, you know, Kerry Coombs, the defensive staff, you know who's in charge of the whole show at Ohio State? Ryan Day. So that goes on you too, buddy. Not just the pretty offense that you're throwing all over the lot. You got 3 receivers that are ballers, yada, yada, yada. You're the play caller. That's all great.
He looked off. Even when they got blown out in the national, of course you did. They got beat up. They got blown out in the national title game. I never felt like his face showed that the moment was too big. I never really felt that Ryan Day, like that was just a better Alabama team, head and shoulders better. It's a very good Michigan team. I don't know if they play again, if that's exactly how it unfolds, but it doesn't matter. That's not how this works. But every time they had panned the camera over to Ryan Day, I'm like, he almost has that, you know,
he knew what we knew.
He's a hand through the hair away of looking like Urban Meyer at times in those tough games. Like he looked lost, and I've never said that about Ryan Day. It's unfortunate.
He knew exactly what you and I knew as we were watching that game. We can't stop them. We can score. It's going to take us a little while. We're not going to score in 2 plays like we were doing versus Michigan State and other teams. We'll get down there. We just got to punch it in. I just got to be patient and take what's given to me. And we can score, but we can't get a stop. We cut it to 8. They march it right down the field in 3 plays and score another touchdown. They couldn't get a stop. I'm not telling anybody something they don't already know. And look, I'm not on here as smart as Keith Byers about football. I just watch the game and I see things from a slightly different perspective than most fans. We talk about this with the Cincinnati Bengals. We talk about this and I harp about this all the time. We love the playmakers. We love the running back, the quarterback, the wide receiver, the guy making all the splash plays. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens without the big guys up front. And their big guys dominated our big guys. Plain and simple. Linebacker core. We talked about this in the spring when Steel Chambers switched from running back to linebacker. I said there's going to be a big problem with Ohio State if Steel Chambers is one of the best linebackers on the team. No disrespect to Steel Chambers. He took advantage of the situation and got himself on the field, and he's going to be a lot better for it. But when you have guys like Taraja Mitchell, who've been in the program for God knows how long, other guys that have been in the program for God knows how long, that can't make an impact. And a dude that came in as a running back and decided to switch to linebacker and automatically is one of the best linebackers on the team.
More experience at the position. In a position he has no experience,
high school.
Since high school. The guy that hasn't played that position in years looked more settled into that position than the guys who have been on this roster for a long time.
That is an indictment on player development. That is an indictment on recruiting. That is an indictment on all that. And I know everybody's going to look at the defensive guy. Well, that's their job to recruit that. Ryan Day is the head guy in charge. It is his responsibility just as much as it's theirs. So Ryan Day has to do what some people are calling tough decisions. It's not a tough decision. This defense has been garbage for the last 2 years. It's been garbage. We know this. We just like to cover it up because we blow teams out by 70-some points. We score 70, they score 30. We won by 40, we win. No, this ain't silver bullet defense. And it ain't been silver bullet defense since that game we lost to Clemson. So whatever you're doing, I know people say, go get this guy, go call Marcus Freeman, go do whatever you're going to do. Find somebody. Find the next Jeff Hafley that's the head coach at
Go Buckeyes.
That's over at Boston College now. Go find somebody to get some new blood in here, to get some better defensive concepts, because you're sending these blitzes and they're not getting home. You know, you want to play kind of like vanilla and let your athletes out-athlete each other. Look, man, let's get creative here, man. You got to find somebody that's able to call a defense and to coach up a defense that can go from week to week, to be able to handle power running teams like a Michigan and Wisconsin, and then be able to handle spread teams like Penn State and Purdue. You got to. I don't care what you got to do, but you got to do it. So what he has to do is find that said person, go to Coach Mariotti, get these dudes ready physically, and then also go to Gene Smith and have him cut the check. That's his responsibility as the head coach of the Buckeyes. Do I want Ryan Day up out of here? Absolutely not. I think he's a great coach. You know, he's a young coach. I think Ryan Day's like 40 years old. You know, so he's learning on the job. Him having the head coaching spot of The Ohio State University, he didn't get the opportunity that Urban Meyer did to cut his teeth at Bowling Green, Utah, and then go to Florida. You know, he's immediately thrust into the big time. And with big time comes big responsibilities. And now you done lost to the team up north. And now we're out of the college football playoff. Now we're relegated to something that I hate doing. That's not my style. Hate watching. It's not my style. We talked about this before. I can't stand Kirk Ferentz. I think he's a terrible person. But guess who I'm rooting for on Saturday? Go Hawkeyes!
Go Hawkeyes.
Because I can't do it. I can't see them in the college football playoff. Because you know what? It'll be just my luck. They'll win it. And I can't go for that. I won't go for that. So go Hawkeyes, go Bearcats, go Bulldogs, go whoever else to make sure Michigan don't get into the college football playoff. It's not normally my thing, but it is my thing this weekend.
So what I don't understand, there's a lot of people bashing CJ Stroud. This reminds me of and Buckeye fans, we got to do a better job of learning how to lose, because I feel like when we lose all sense of reality. That's the one thing that I feel like I've always been very good at is being a realist when it comes to Ohio State football, to the point to where Buckeye fans hate me. I've been a little bit more arrogant about Ohio State this year than at any point. And Kev, I think you would agree. Usually I'm nitpicking every little thing about Ohio State. This year I was adamant that they were going to destroy Michigan. I had taken the walk the line approach away, and I'm like, no, like Ohio State, their offense, like this offense, you have Trevion Henderson, you have that offensive line, you have Julian Fleming, you have you look at all the wide receivers they have between Chris Olave and everyone. They have weapons all over the damn place. Even bad defensive unit with NFL caliber guys in a couple spots. I'm like, they'll be fine. Michigan, a good game for them is keeping it close heading into the fourth quarter. Well, then in Michigan's defense, like they kept it close in the fourth quarter, then they made it not so close in the fourth quarter, but it was a result I was not expecting. So at this point, it's just interesting to me that we have lost our perspective of how to be critical of this team. Eric on Facebook says, I don't believe in Stroud. He goes, I think the line had a bad day. They are better than they played, but I just don't believe in our quarterback. Afraid he may get beat by Michigan again next year. Let's be clear. C.J. Stroud didn't get beat by Michigan. C.J. Stroud is actually the only dominant player that was on the field for Ohio State that day, and that includes a field that included Trevion Henderson, who was not dominant yesterday. Trevion Henderson, 17 carries, 74 yards, and a touchdown. C.J. Stroud threw for nearly 400 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He threw the ball 49 times and completed 34 of those. I had a problem with the play calling on the offense more than I didn't have one single problem with CJ Stroud. The dude refuses to run the football. And he even looked at the situation and said, look, to win this game, I have to do things that I don't do. Mm-hmm. And he made a couple big plays with his legs. The biggest one was the touchdown that was called back. They ended up getting the touchdown anyways. But it's just the point that, Eric, I get it. You could be upset. But there's a lot of things about the offense you could be critical of. Where was the big plays? We've seen Ohio State play in the cold all year. It was cold last weekend against Michigan State. So I don't want to hear that it was cold, and that's why Ryan Day didn't call plays, to go deep down the field. Well, give Michigan credit. Some stuff away.
What Michigan did was very, I don't want to get us no FCC fine, but very brave. They're very brave how they called that game.
You sound like a true American. Brave.
They ran a too high safety look to keep everything like y'all not beating us over the top. There will be no 50-yard bombs. So they kept their safeties high and they played press man. And they basically more or less doubled Smith and Jigba in the slot. So he couldn't get loose. So, all right, we're going to keep these safeties high. So there will be no big chunk plays. And we're going to force you to dink and dunk. And to CJ's credit, that's exactly what it did. That's exactly what he did. He took what they gave him. You can't force the ball downfield in double coverage. You shouldn't do that. A la Lamar Jackson. And as much as a Chris Olave fan as I am, drop touchdown, bro. Drop touchdown, man. And we want to talk about the weather. Please don't tell me people are talking about the weather. Please. If people are complaining and talking about the weather, is that same energy that you bring to SEC people when all the bowl games are played in the South? How about you come up here and deal with the cold?
No, you forgot the Mason-Dixon. Why don't you come? Actually, that's how SEC people say. Why don't you come up here above the Mason-Dixon line to play us? I mean, I don't know what accent I'm going for there, but you see the point.
Yeah, what are you talking about, man? What are y'all talking about, man? It's the Midwest. It gets cold. Sorry. Michigan played in it just like we played in it. I think C.J. Stroud played amazing. I think he played amazing. I don't really remember I don't remember any bad throws, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, he missed some. Every quarterback misses a throw.
About 49 times. You're going to miss it.
Yeah. With a wet, cold ball, yeah, you're going to do that. He didn't turn the ball over. Their quarterback turned it over. And that's another thing. Sorry, I'm all over the place with this. So when Josh Proctor got hurt for the season, they put in Shaw. And people were riding him left and right because he was giving up big plays, especially in that Oregon game, getting outflanked and stuff like that. He was the only player on the defense to make any play at all. He had that interception in the end zone. And I've watched the game. I rewatched the game. Must be a glutton for punishment. But I rewatched it and kept an eye on the defense. They made no plays. Absolutely no plays. I don't remember any PBUs, the good old incomplete. No, No quarterback hurries. We already talked about no TFLs, no sacks. They did nothing on defense. Michigan ran a physical brand of defense, ran a physical style of offense, and we couldn't handle it. And I don't want to hear from any Buckeye fan with any excuse. Tip your cap to them. They won fair and square. I'm mad about it. You're mad about it. Everybody in Buckeye country is mad about it. We just got to deal with it. And Coach Day is going to have to fix it. That's all our role to play in it. We deal with it. We buy the merch. We watch the game on TV. We cheer. We boo. That's our role. Coach Day's role, fix it. Simple as that.
People talk about a lot of reports of who's coming, who's going. That Brian Hartline, the only guy on the staff that will be brought back next season, as far as that's concerned. I'm like, the offense wasn't the problem. I mean, ultimately, it falls on Ryan Day for the offense, but defense, I get it. But here's the deal. I don't care who's not coming back. I care about who's coming in. You can get rid of Kerry Combs. You can get rid of these guys all you want. Who you bringing in?
You better be careful because, we have Hicks right here in Kettering. If you get rid of a certain player that helped recruit him, he might not come.
And CJ Hicks can freaking play, man.
Yeah, he might take his talents on down to Cincinnati. One of his good friends and classmates is going to UC.
Is there a good chance Kerry Combs is back?
Probably not. But I mean, Al Washington recruited CJ Hicks. So if you're talking about the whole defensive staff, if you get rid of him, who's to say that he's going to come to Ohio State? Early signing period is what, in like 2 weeks?
My thing is this. These defensive guys are at Ohio State for a reason, because they know the game and they're good at their job. I don't think that this year's results, and Ohio State's defense has been questionable for a few years now. I get that. I don't think that the results on the defensive side are necessarily because of bad coaching. Change your scheme. Change your approach. I'm not a big fan of hitting reset on the entire coaching staff. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's a little dangerous. I'm not going to lose sleep if they bring back a good chunk of the same defensive guys for next season. But what I want to hear is we're going to go back to the drawing board and we're going to have a different approach with what we do defensively. That's what I want to hear, that more than, we're just getting rid of guys. Because I feel like that's a cop-out. That's just what you're saying is, by the report starting in midseason, that the whole defensive staff is gone next year. What you are saying is that, that these guys are no good at their job. They're good at their job. That's how you became a Buckeye coach to begin with. Right. But this is where Ryan Day has to establish himself as an elite coach in football. So many people talking about Mel Tucker getting paid, and Ryan Day definitely needs to get paid if he got that much. You know what? Mel Tucker and Ryan Day are not the same coach. They're not coaching the same type of scenarios. They're not coaching the same type of teams. Ryan Day, you want to get paid like those guys? This is where you get paid. Because how do you replace coaches? Because that's what made Nick Saban elite. Nick Saban's hitting reset on his coaching staff every year. Clemson had to do similar things as well. Urban Meyer, he was having to hit reset on his coaching staff every year. Not because they were bad and he had to wipe them all out and bring new ones in, Kev. It's because they were all being plucked. They were all going elsewhere. And Nick Saban knocks it out of the park every year with who he brings in. And Dabo, at times, has knocked it out of the park with who he has to bring in. It sounds like Venables might be on the way out, by the way, if what I'm hearing is correct about Oklahoma. I could be wrong on that. I want to confirm that.
That's where he came from.
So he's going to have to, Dabo's going to have to fill some spots. The point is, Ryan Day, you want to get paid like Mel Tucker. You want to get paid like these other coaches. You got to bring in the right pieces, or look at the pieces you have who are good football. You know what I mean, Kev? Like, we can't just assume these guys are bad at their job. You got hired at we hold that program up to such a high standard. Those guys didn't get there by being bad. So why don't you let those minds figure it out? I'm not a big fan of blowing it all up. I know I'm probably in the minority on that, but I think it's dangerous to blow it all up, to be quite honest with you.
I get what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree, but they're going to need infusion of a new philosophy, and Coach Day is going to have to be receptive of that philosophy. He's going to have to say, okay, let me see what you're trying to draw up. And we also can't go back to the well. And that's something that people always find is like little crutch on. Like, people will go to let's call up Marcus Freeman well. Let's call up Bo Pelini well. Let's call up a Stoops brother. Like, these are names that float around in the industry, especially Pelini, because they're from Youngstown, and the Stoops, they're from Youngstown and everything like that. We have like this connection to them and sense of ownership, and like, okay, they can fix it. Nobody knew who Ryan Day was until he showed up at Ohio State. He's a young coach. He comes in with this new offensive philosophy, throw the ball around a lot. Yeah, we run the ball too. Nobody knew who Tom Herman was. He was the OC at Iowa State. Comes to Ohio State. We win a national championship. He goes down to Houston. They go to a BCS bowl game, and then he's off to Texas. Things don't work out there, yada, yada, yada. There's nothing wrong with finding new blood. There's absolutely nothing wrong with finding new blood. The coaches on the staff, they are smart enough to be receptive of a new guy in charge and a new way of doing things and a new defensive philosophy. It was just irking me that they were doing run blitzes in a 4-2-5. Like, you basically have two middle linebacker-esque on the field at the same time. So that doesn't create necessarily more of a pass rush. You need dudes to come off the edge because you're not generating a pass rush with your front four guys. So whomever that person is, whomever they decide to go out there and be the new DC, or if their new DC is currently on the roster, Coach Day needs to be receptive of allowing them to change things and allowing them to coach the way that they want to coach and call the defense that they want to call, as opposed to saying, this is the D I want you to call. I want you to run it like this. Because best believe he's on the headset. He knows the calls. He knows that they're running a 4-2-5 and getting bludgeoned on the ground instead of putting another linebacker on the field. He knows this. He knows more football than you and I will ever know. But I know a 4-2-5, when you're getting gouged for 200 yards, that ain't a good look. When you got a whole bunch of linebackers, somebody need to get on the field and plug a hole and send it out 185-pound DB to go up against a guard. That ain't going to get it done. You know what I mean? You're sending out Williamson, the fifth-year senior, and he's crashing in there and getting blown up. You wonder why? Because he weighs 190 pounds.
Amazing how that works.
It ain't that hard. It ain't that hard. And I'll go back to your point about him feeling the pressure. This is the first time he's ever felt pressure. Yes, losing to Clemson, didn't feel pressure in that situation because, of the outcome of the game. It was a good game. The missed call, the fumble call, the fact that it was Clemson and, it was an epic game and there's a lot of first round picks on Clemson. People understood that. People took that. People ate that. It's like, I take that L. I won't be happy.
And he was a victim in that.
Yeah.
He was, the officials cost him the game. I'll never forget that. I was like, man, that's why when the pandemic started, I said the last time a piece of cloth made this many people mad talking about masks, it was the flag in the Fiesta Bowl for Ohio State. I mean, that loss was on the official. The next year, you make the play, you beat Clemson. It's kind of like the college football playoff. I've always said, sometimes it doesn't matter what happens when you get there. If you get there, if your season ends in the playoff, kind of like in college basketball, if your season ends in the NCAA tournament, your coach did their job. If your season ends in the college football playoff, your coach did their job. We should have been more critical of how they lost to Alabama last year, but people said we kept using COVID as an excuse. Remember, there's a bunch of players that weren't eligible to play. You had the injury to the running back early on. Alabama just ran all up and down the field against Ohio State, and Ohio State's offense should have been able to do the same when they didn't. But we didn't question Ryan Day. We didn't question the Buckeyes. We just said, well, COVID got them. They're the victim in that situation. But this year it's a little different. We defended Ryan Day. People did jump on him about, obviously, the Mikeys of the world jumped on Ryan Day after the Oregon loss. But me and you were like, look, losses are going to happen.
Right.
I'm not going to hold losses like the Oregon loss against a Ryan Day and a Buckeye program that has the cojones to actually put them on the schedule, because I would never put an Oregon on the schedule anymore. I would never put any top non-conference opponent on the schedule anymore. Go get your ass beat by, or no, hold on, not what I meant. What I meant was go into Big Ten, kick all their asses, and if you slip up along the way, you're allowed one loss. The problem with losing to Oregon, you had no margin for error going in. If that Michigan loss was their only loss on the season, now we're talking about something different. And by the way, I'm not making excuses. Beat Oregon.
Right.
Beat Michigan.
Yes.
But the reason Alabama
definitely beat Michigan.
Alabama, they still have a shot because their one loss came within conference play.
Right.
And they have a chance to win an SEC title. Ohio State, they challenged themselves and it shot them in the foot. And that's why I'm like, don't do that anymore. But the bottom line is we, jumped on him for that. We didn't, but most Buckeye fans did. Jumped on Ryan Day for that. But this Michigan game, you're right. I don't even remember Urban getting any slack. Do you? Even when they lost 31-0, there were some people that started to chirp. But because Urban had clout, Urban had the name, Urban got away with a lot of bad losses.
Well, he had a ring.
And that's the thing too,
Got a broader championship. Now, like we talked about earlier, man, nobody's calling for Coach Day's head and everything like that. But, we talked about it before, man. Us as fans, we all have a role to play in this whole thing called college football. We root for our team. We buy the merch. We watch the games. We watch the other team. That is our role.
So you're going for Iowa?
Absolutely. I can't do it, man. I can't do it.
Eliminates a Big Ten team from being in the playoff.
Don't care.
Actually, Iowa beating Michigan, you guys don't want to hear it, and that's fine. Ohio State's not out of the playoff picture necessarily because chaos has been the whole theme of this entire season. Alabama loses in the SEC title game. By the way, a concept we hadn't even considered was Ohio State and Alabama both losing in the same day. My head was racing against that when Bama and Auburn were playing because I never once thought that they would lose that game until the game fourth quarter. I'm like, they're going to lose this game. And I'm like, what happens?
Stay in bounds,
what happens if Alabama and Ohio State lose? It's like that second loss for each wipes one another out. And they're both like, because I've always put them as the same team. If Alabama's a 2-loss team still in the picture, then they're going to put Ohio State back in the picture, right? Like that's kind of how I viewed it. But that almost created a scenario that no one had even considered because no one thought that Ohio State and Alabama would go down at the same time. Alabama loses in the SEC title game because, by the way, we just keep putting two teams in because we just keep thinking that Bama's going to beat Georgia. Georgia wins, and Alabama picks up that second loss, and you have a 2-loss Ohio State team, and let's say Cincinnati and Iowa beats Michigan. I'm sorry, Ohio State still has a shot. It's not a great shot, but if Cincinnati stubs their toe, then let's just say that Cincinnati wins by a field goal. Because by the way, they haven't just been overwhelming their opponents. They've done better the last couple of weeks. They haven't been overwhelming their opponents. They got a good Houston team coming up. They're not going to steamroll Houston.
No. So this is going to be down to the wire. This is going to be a good game.
So if they lose, or let's say that the committee looks at them and says, well, you played Houston and you only won by a touchdown or you only won by a field goal, because that's how I would do it. But if they do that, like Ohio State still has a shot. But I do think Oklahoma State is in very, very good shape. The Big 12 went from nobody to, and I think it's going to mean more to them getting Oklahoma State in an actual Big 12 team moving forward. How about that?
Look, man, it's very difficult for me, man, because I think that the whole state of Ohio should be doing this, should be pulling for UC. And once we all pull for UC, they're going to lose to Houston, and then we're all going to be mad again. But, UC
is in trouble, by the way.
They are in trouble. They are in big trouble because the committee has said they like Oklahoma State all season.
They also said they liked Michigan. And it's kind of ironic. We say the committee knows nothing, but they've been singing the praises of Michigan going back about from the very first poll that came out. Michigan wasn't even that high up. They were in the top 10, but they were talking and praising Michigan a ton in that first poll that came out. They're like, we really like Michigan. Keep an eye on them. That's the team. Even after freshly losing to Michigan State, by the way, we really like Michigan. They gave them a friendly poll even after losing to Michigan State. And they kept praising them. They kept praising Oklahoma State, who was not even in the top 10 when the first one came out. We say the committee knows nothing, but it is kind of ironic that the two teams that they've been praising from the very first poll, even one off of a fresh loss against Michigan State at the time, that those two teams have a legitimate shot here. The Bearcats, you could beat Houston. You could jump for joy. But if Alabama beats Georgia and Michigan beats Iowa and Oklahoma State gets their second top 10 victory in 2 weeks, you're not in. Yeah. I don't see how they're in.
If you're a UC fan, you gotta hope Georgia handles business. You gotta hope that Georgia eliminates Alabama. If obviously you win your game and Georgia beats Alabama, you should be in. You should be in. And no matter what else, because that'll be Georgia. If Oklahoma State wins, if UC wins, and even if Michigan wins, those would be your four. But if you really want to be greedy about it, you better hope Georgia wins and Iowa wins. Those two teams win and you win, you're 100% in. Mm-hmm. You won't be sweating on Sunday.
Yeah, but when Ohio State lost, I saw a lot of Bearcat fans chirping, oh, enjoy watching us in the playoff. I'm like, you guys need to cool it. The OSU that you were worried about is not Ohio State. It's Oklahoma State. Like Oklahoma State, that OSU is the team.
What a game. What a game on Saturday, bro. And I'm talking about the Oklahoma State-Oklahoma game. Bedlam, what a game. I was locked into that game. I didn't want to watch any more college football after Ohio State game. I shut things down for a couple hours, and then eventually I turned on the Iron Bowl and watched Bama and Auburn. And as soon as Tank Bigsby didn't get down and went out of bounds and gave Bama the ball back with a minute, I was like, curtains. They're going to score, and you're going to lose in overtime. And that's exactly what happened. And then I'm watching Bedlam, and I'm like, oh, man, after they muffed that kick, I'm like, ooh, Oklahoma probably going to win this. And I was dozing off. And then they had that pick six, and I was like, I'm in. I'm wide awake.
Real quick before we send you off, and appreciate you coming in on your day off, I have a new favorite college basketball player. You ready for this?
Do tell.
I'm not joking, and this isn't me being a smartass. So I got to make sure I give some love to this team right here. Take a listen.
Goes right the basketball. They get it back, though. They get it back. Seal for the win. Oh, my God.
Dickie V, baby.
Look at the bedlam. Look at the bedlam.
You said bedlam. So last week, me and Mikey, was that last week or the week before? It don't matter. But
if you want to check out the video, you can check it out on my Twitter page, Kev Nash.
No, people over the weekend were like, you willing to admit you were wrong about Anthony Grant and the Flyers? I said no. 3 big wins in that invitational doesn't erase the 3 bad losses that they had. But again, I will always give you my opinion in the now. My opinion in the now, after losing 3 straight bye games against 3 horribly rated teams, yes, you are going to be open to criticism. But Kev, I will say, oh, by the way, Malachi Smith. Mm-hmm. I'm not joking. He looks like a 12-year-old, and he's out there playing like a freaking man. Dude, I'm not joking. That dude, when I watch him play, I get goosebumps watching him play. And this is like, I know everyone's like, oh my God, he's complimenting the Flyers. I don't hate the Flyers. When there's something to compliment, I'll compliment it. But when you're losing to Lipscomb and UMass Lowell and teams like that, there's not a whole lot to compliment. This kid, Kev, is 18 years old?
Yep.
And he looks like a high schooler. And I'm not taking shots at him. He looks young. And I know Dayton's a young team, but he looks young. And you would never guess, if I'm watching that team warm up, that the kid that looks like a kid, that looks like the youngest one of the bunch, that he would be the pit bull on this team. Dude, the kid doesn't stop. He has a motor on him. He shouldn't be dominating the way he was taking it right against Kansas. This is a freshman, and it's Scoochie Smith's brother. And I don't like to refer to him as that because over the weekend, he made his own damn name as a freaking freshman. Good and a true freshman. Not and that's why Dayton drives me nuts when they keep trying to do we're so young. We're so young. We have all these freshmen. Half your freshmen were on the roster last year. Stop trying to take advantage of the optics of the situation, because last year no one got credit, or no one had any of their eligibility used against them. Everyone got a free year of eligibility. So last year's freshmen are this year's freshmen. But Malachi freaking Smith is a true freshman, and the kid balled out. I know that was his shot that got blocked. It was Mustafa Amzil that hit that shot. That kid's a cool story too, because, and I mean this nicely, he has stunk. He has not been able to find his shot, and he's really good, by the way. His story coming out of high school or his prep team is pretty interesting. He almost got stuck in the country. Like, he literally...
I remember you telling me about this.
It's very interesting. But anyway, very good kid. Like him. He's capable of knocking down big shots. He can't find a shot to save his life right now. So for him to hit that game-winning shot, that was a hell of a story, because that's an example. And I'll give Anthony Grant this. People were pissed that he's on the floor. He's like, why do you have a guy that can't hit a shot on the floor in a crunch time situation? That's called coaches knowing their players. Got to give Anthony Grant that, because I was scratching my head. I'm like, I know he's capable of hitting threes, but the guy right now can't hit a free throw. He can't hit an open layup. Maybe I'm being a little dramatic, but he couldn't find the bucket. Anthony Grant had him on the floor, and he trusted him, knowing that he's not playing well, and the kid drains that floater. Again, it's a heave. You throw it up, super, but it fell in. If that doesn't bring that team together and bring his confidence up, UD has looked like a completely different team. They won that invitational championship, that ESPN invitational championship. They beat Belmont yesterday in a close one. I've never seen anything like this, where you lose 3 bad games. Like, I'm not sugarcoating that. Those are bad. That's embarrassing for if Wright State loses those 3 games against Lipscomb and those teams, by the way. And UD, big bad UD with all the resources. Oh, look at our arena. Look at all the money we spend. We schedule like the big boys, and here we are losing to the little boys. I'm never going to let them forget that, because you shouldn't do that. You spent money on those games and got embarrassed like that. I don't feel bad for being critical of them at all. You don't lose those. We would rip Ohio State. I would be critical of Chris Holtmann and the Buckeyes if they lost 3 straight games like that. They like to view themselves as that. So I'm going to hold you to that standard. But man, they looked the part. Something about Dayton and Kansas, and they're going to be a part of that Atlantis tournament, if I'm not mistaken, next season.
Yeah.
It's a non-conference rivalry that has kind of bloomed over the last couple years, nearly beating him in overtime years ago. I thought they were going to lose a close one, and they end up getting that win. So a rubber match next year would be kind of fun if they're able to pull that off. But Malachi Smith,
it's in the Bahamas, right?
The battle for Atlantis?
I believe that's in the Bahamas.
But Malachi Smith, that's the dude. Go watch, because the UD trying to figure themselves out. That's the dude. Deron Holmes and him, those are your guys. I don't know. The rest of them are solid. They have some good guys. Sissoko goes from looking really, really bad at times to looking like, a badass when he's out there, but so inconsistent. That's going to happen with this team. But I just wanted to make sure I gave a shout out to Malachi Smith, because you're allowed to buy jerseys now of players, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want his jersey. Scoochie, I was a big fan of his, obvious reasons. That's not a hot take. But his brother, man, he looks like a 12-year-old, and he's out there. I mean, he's chirping. These are Kansas players, and they're looking at him like, who the hell is this kid? He doesn't back down. That's that Brooklyn in him, man.
Brooklyn.
Like, good for him.
Brooklyn.
There you go.
Brooklyn.
All right, folks. We'll step away for Kev. You out, right?
I'm out. I'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
But don't worry, guys. I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm complimenting a lot of teams I usually don't compliment today. The Bengals look really, really good. And they're doing something different since the bye week that I had been preaching from the very beginning, and I'll tell you what that is. The Bengals will they will win the division, they will make the playoffs, and make a deep playoff run if they continue doing what they've been doing since coming out of the bye week. And no, not just as simple as winning, it's why they're winning. And I'll tell you what that is next. Maybe that's a tease that'll keep Kev around. No, go home.
It won't.
I'm kicking you out. All right, folks, hour 2. We're in hour 2, but we're officially going to be in hour number 2 on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio.
'Twas the season of cheer and joy filled the town, except for Scrooge with his perma-frown. The gift of a Peloton bike touched his soul without doubt. When your workout's a joy, it's a joy to work out. This Black Friday, get the original Peloton bike at our best holiday price ever, $1,495. All access memberships separate. Terms apply. See website for details.
Hello, this is Discover, and we take customer service very seriously. We know that if you have a question or concern about your credit card, that's a serious matter, and you need to talk to a real person about it. So we offer around-the-clock access to seriously talented representatives in the USA. Again, it's a serious endeavor. The only funny thing about it is Bob. If you call us and Bob answers, you're in for a treat. Get 100% US-based customer service and talk to a real person day or night. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
This ad for Hellsberg Diamonds has been specifically written for those who'd rather think about hockey than engagement rings. You're at a game and your team scores the winning goal just as time runs out. Now, if that game is your proposal and you're running out of time to find the perfect engagement ring, Hellsberg Diamonds is your winning shot. Our combination of quality diamonds, wide selection, and a price match guarantee means you can be confident in your Hellsberg Diamonds engagement ring buzzer beater. Visit your local Hellsberg store and ask about our amazing financing options, or check us out at hellsberg.com.
Start your holiday gift giving with Esther Price Candy's traditional gold boxes. Variety of holiday baskets, corporate trays, bourbon cherries, holiday gifts, and so much more. Don't leave home without your family favorites. Visit any of their 7 locations in Dayton and Cincinnati. Shop online at estherprice.com and ship your family and friends their favorites. Your holiday tradition is at Esther Price Candies.
The homemade goodness everyone likes. There's a whole lot sweeter with fine chocolates from Esther Price.
Take home Fricker's Holiday Feast. Frickin' yum, 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 yum. Our gift cards always please. Frickin' yum, 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 yum.
Take home 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $29.99, carry out only. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and you'll get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. The ho, ho, ho! For fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Frickin' yum, yum.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Mucinex is the #1 OTC.
Treats their customers right. Plus, they have a 30-day risk-free guarantee, so you literally have nothing to lose. From your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Jill50 to save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, say Jill50. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless.
Suffering from junk sleep? The sleep experts at Mattress Firm can help. Shop the Cyber Week sale and save up to $500 on top-rated mattress brands like Sleepy's.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM.
Collins right to the basket. They get it back, though. They get it back. Seal for the win. Oh, and they win. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. It went down. Oh, my God. Look at the bedrock. Look at the bedrock. I can't believe it. I can't believe it, Boo.
How about that over the weekend? I should say over the Thanksgiving break, I should say. How about that? I mean, let's not forget that to even get to the point to where the Dayton Flyers could beat the Kansas Jayhawks, the number 4 team in the country at the time. Let's not forget that they had to beat Miami, the Hurricanes. To say what you want about whoever Miami is right now as a basketball program, beat a Power 5 school. I mean, that's why you join these invitationals. I know I criticize. Look, what I don't like is hiding in these invitationals. I don't like that UD lives in these invitationals and then spends all their time at home with bye games, and they don't ever test themselves in true road game environments. But the bottom line is, you got to schedule to put yourself in a position to get to the NCAA tournament. And the problem is that when you toughen your schedule up like the Flyers do, if you don't get that at-large bid in the NCAA tournament, it better be because, well, an A10 school, they couldn't overcome the Miami Hurricanes, right? You couldn't overcome an ACC school. Oh, man, we couldn't beat Kansas. So we get back, we get some losses there against some good quality teams. We have Ole Miss. You have some good teams. Let's get SMU, blah, blah, blah. So with that, it's like if you're going to lose your at-large bid when you play a tough non-conference schedule, it better be because you can't beat the Miamis of the world. It better be because you can't beat the Kansases of the world. It better be because, you lost to Belmont. It better be, you know what I mean? So what's frustrating is I'm really glad, by the way, people think I enjoy when the teams that it's not like I hate UD. My alliance rolls with Wright State. I graduated there. I'm real close with a lot of the guys in that athletics department, guys and gals, by the way. People think I hate the program. I don't. I'm just very aggressive on this show. And it's cost me, right? Like, I've burned bridges. I get that. I'm not here to try and be the victim here. It is what it is. But the point is I've always been critical of every team in the area. And I've been critical of that. I don't feel bad that I was critical about the Flyers losing to Lipscomb and losing to teams like that. Like, I believe that they should have been criticized for that. I believe that the media in town has an obligation to hold these programs accountable. You should hold them accountable. You should call them out, not to revel in it when they fail, but at the same time, you're not doing that program any favors by trying to find the good in those 3 bad losses against Lipscomb and everything else. You have to be critical. That's why programs who know, like, for instance, Ohio State loses to Michigan. Ohio State media is not sitting there saying, oh, well, you tried hard and you had fun and memories were made. Go Bucks. No. Ryan Day, I don't even know if he has the color back in his face yet, because it's a stressful, miserable time because you have to answer tough questions. The media in town expects you to win. They expect you to beat good teams like Michigan. So it drives me nuts when media does not hold teams accountable when losing games that they shouldn't. And I don't want to hear about the age. I don't want to hear about how young the team is. I get that the team's young. College basketball is a young sport. Like, it's not veteran filled anymore. Between the transfer portal and the one and dones and the options of playing overseas, and there's so many other options out there. Trust me, this isn't like back in the day when you had 4-year players like Patrick Ewing. You don't have super seniors going at one another in the NCAA tournament anymore. And the teams that do have, a little bit more experience, have older players. It's usually the mid-major teams, okay? That's why a lot of times upsets happen in the NCAA tournament, is because a lot of times you'll get your Power Fives that are super loaded with the freshmen and sophomores who have to play their 1 or 2 years of college just to become eligible to go to the NBA, right? They have more talent, but are they a better team? They've spent less time together. Some of the older teams in the NCAA tournament, and I don't mean older as in, you have 5 starting seniors and yada, yada. It just means you might have a couple more sophomores in those teams. You might have a junior or 2. So like, that's what I mean by that. That's why mid-major teams are able to pull off upsets come March Madness, because of the fact that, hey, they're a little bit more experienced of teams. But we need to stop talking about UD as, because they have so many freshmen that they're so young. I mean, statistically, yes, they are the second youngest team in college basketball. Super. But they're super talented. So I'm not allowing anybody moving forward to use the age of this team as an issue, because the age of this team was not an issue when they beat Miami. The age of this team, Malachi freaking Smith, I'm going to buy a Dayton Flyers jersey. I've never thought I would say that. I'm going to buy a Dayton Flyers jersey, and I want Malachi Smith's jersey. And I'm so glad he's a freshman. I'm so glad we're going to get 4 years of this kid. He is the bee's knees. Love Malachi Smith. That kid, did being a freshman get in the way of going at Kansas? No. Deron Holmes, true freshman, does it get in the way of him dominating the way he has? No. If anything, the best players on this team are the true freshmen, right? Like, that's the thing. So I'm not anti-UD. I'm just anti-bad excuses. They lost against Lipscomb and those teams because they were bad. UD was bad. They played poorly. They executed poorly. The coaching was poor. It was bad. And it's okay to say that. It doesn't make me a hater. In those games, they were bad. They shot the ball poorly. They executed poorly. They played bad defense, coaching, bad decisions on coaching. But that's the purpose of the non-conference, is to get that out of the way. And guess what? They looked great in this little invitation that they were in. But, that's what I get frustrated with. I don't want to hear about the youth of the team. The youth of the team, you can't sit there and say, well, they lost because they're young, but when they win, it's because they're great. Yes, they are really, really good. They're going to be really, really good, and they're going to be inconsistent at times. But you know what? That's just going to be the nature of it. But I'm not going to allow youth to be an excuse of every time they stub their toe. You got to go out and play. You got to go down and knock down shots. You got to muscle. You got to be strong. And if you could be mentally tough to go beat a Kansas, if you could be physically strong enough to go beat a Kansas, if you could be skilled enough to go beat a Kansas, you could beat anybody in the A-10, and you could beat absolutely anybody remaining in this non-conference schedule. So I'm not going to let them off the hook if they end up not making the NCAA tournament. I'm not going to let them off the hook if they return home on Wednesday and lose. You know what I mean? And like, U.S. fans should do the same thing. So to prove I'm not a hypocrite here, I want to talk bad about one of my teams, the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns last night made me hate the Browns for a little bit. The Browns have a habit of playing really, really good football on one side of the ball, and it's not complemented by the other side, or at least all 3 facets of the game. We are, week 12? Week 12, and you have the Cleveland Browns who can't even figure out how many guys are supposed to be out on the field on punt return or punt team. That's embarrassing. You send the field goal unit out. They don't even know who's supposed to be on the field and who's not supposed to be on the field. How many timeouts, how many poorly executed series of events happened last night for the Cleveland Browns that ultimately led them to losing? Now, when it comes to Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield will never get the benefit of the doubt, and I touched on this in the first part of the show. Baker Mayfield is a guy that does a lot of talking. He's probably the most polarizing quarterback in the NFL, probably outside of Cam Newton, in regards to when you say their names, you either have people that come right to their defense or that they can't stand them. There's no in between. You know what I mean? Like there's some quarterbacks, like Dak Prescott is an in-between quarterback. A lot of people either really, really love him or a lot of people just like him. No one hates Dak Prescott. He's just, he's okay, right? Like, he's not polarizing. He doesn't generate a response. He doesn't, Tony Romo was very similar to that because Tony Romo had enough talent to be dangerous, but he also had enough bad games and bad late game situations that happened that, it made people generate. Plus, he played for the Cowboys. You either really, really loved Tony Romo or you really, really hated him. There was no in between. There's a lot of quarterbacks that there's a lot of people who are in between on. Lamar Jackson. Someone tried telling me Lamar Jackson's a polarizing quarterback. No, he's not. He's actually a quarterback that is one of the least skilled quarterbacks in the NFL from what you are required to be as a quarterback. He can't throw the football. I mean, his numbers are similar passing to Baker. You guys tell me how poor Baker Mayfield is as a quarterback, but yet Lamar Jackson's passing numbers are right on par with who Baker Mayfield is. Injured Baker Mayfield at that. But last night, Lamar Jackson throws 4 interceptions. 4. And Chris Collinsworth just cannot stop drooling. I mean, it's like Chris Collinsworth really is honestly thinking in his head, well, interceptions are bad, but man, if there's ever a quarterback to throw good interceptions, it's Lamar Jackson. No one throws interceptions like Lamar Jackson. I just wanted to run my head through a wall. Baker overthrows a wide receiver, and everyone wants the pitchfork to go literally stab him and take him off the field. Lamar Jackson throws 4 interceptions, and everyone's like, well, that's just him being aggressive. He's trying to make plays. No, Lamar Jackson was poor last night. And some of the big throws that he did make, he heaved them down the field, and a lot of times it was breakdowns defensively that the Browns just weren't able to execute. The Browns played a very good defensive game last night. It's unfortunate that the 1 or 2 plays that Lamar and the Ravens were able to execute last night, and they were prayers, that's what ended up winning the game. The Browns were a disaster last night, but here's what I don't want to hear. What I don't want to hear is Baker Mayfield cost him the game. Baker Mayfield couldn't lead him down the field. Baker Mayfield's horrible. Look, we've been through this before. Baker Mayfield, me and Kev, last week or the week before, we did Baker or Taker. And basically, we listed every starting quarterback in the NFL, and I had to decide whether I would want Baker or the other starting quarterback that we went down the list. I guessed that I would take Baker over about 15 quarterbacks in the NFL. I have Baker as a very in-between quarterback. I don't look at him as a bottom-tier quarterback. I look at him as right in the middle. We did Baker or Taker. Kev did all the calculations. Baker, I picked 20 quarterbacks in the NFL over Baker Mayfield. 20. That's not good, right? I agree with you. It's not. Baker Mayfield is now inching closer and closer to being a bottom 10 quarterback. A year ago, I had him in my top 10. He is in the bottom 10 now, but this year. But can I say something without you guys getting mad at me? Can we at least acknowledge that injuries are what's impacting Baker's ability to play? Because what I'm getting annoyed with is when you see Baker play well, you give him 0 credit for it. But the second Baker plays bad, you want to label him as bad. And I just want to ask why. Is it as simple as you just don't like Baker Mayfield? Because that's an acceptable answer. That's an acceptable answer. Because when Lamar Jackson, and I'm not comparing Baker to Lamar, all I'm saying is when Lamar Jackson throws 4 interceptions in a game, 4, 3 of them in the first half, we still love Lamar Jackson. We still praise Lamar Jackson, and I don't get it. Baker Mayfield, technically, last night was the only player on the offensive side of the ball that came ready to play. Baker Mayfield actually had a really good game. Baker Mayfield has no business throwing the ball, by the way, 30 more times a game. People love to throw that stat at me all the time and say, well, Baker Mayfield, the Browns are horrible. They can't win games when he throws the ball 30 or more times. And I'm like, okay, I agree with you. The numbers back that up. Baker Mayfield was horrible, is horrible. The Browns are horrible when he is responsible to carry the offense. We know that Baker Mayfield is not a quarterback that is going to lead your offense like an Aaron Rodgers or a Patrick Mahomes or a Justin Herbert or a quarterback like that. That is not Baker Mayfield. I'm acknowledging that. But when I acknowledge that, you guys, when you say that, you are saying that because you want to say that he sucks because of that stat. Well, it's up to Kevin Stefanski to figure out, okay, knowing that, okay, we're not the most effective when Baker throws the ball 30-plus times. He threw the ball 37 times last night. Threw for a touchdown, threw for 250 on the night, whatever. Okay, completion percentage wasn't great. Not going to make excuses, but Baker was moving the ball up and down the field. Baker Mayfield was being hurried the entire night. Baker Mayfield is not healthy. Baker Mayfield, a lot has to go right for him to be effective. And you know what? The Browns have the pieces in place for him to be effective when he's healthy. And he's not healthy right now, but he still moved the ball up and down the field last night. Jarvis Landry had his best game of the season last night. All right, Baker connected with a lot of different wide receivers last night. You know what else happened? I don't hear anybody talking about all the drops from the wide receivers. 5 big-time drops happened. 3 of the 5 drops happened in the fourth quarter. Oh, but Baker, he can't lead his team down the field to victory. More times than not, he's not. I give you that. You know, he's not a clutch player. People hated Tony Romo, but you know, back when Tony Romo played, I was a big Tony Romo fan. I know you guys are like, God, he has the worst taste in quarterbacks. I probably do. I'll give you that. But Tony Romo was actually one of the best fourth quarter quarterbacks in the NFL every year. Every year he would lead the NFL and come from behind wins. Now people would spin it and say, well, because he was always, down. He can never play 4 full quarters of football, right? Okay, fine, if that's how you want to spin it. But the point is, I was always confident in the Cowboys' ability to come from behind because of Tony Romo. When the Browns are playing from behind, I'm not confident in Baker's ability to be able to do that. But what I do get frustrated with is that the narrative of Baker is formed based on the overall result of a game instead of people looking at, okay, well, what happened last night? Baker Mayfield throws the ball directly to Hooper. It would have been a first down. It doesn't guarantee that the Browns would have marched the ball down the field and scored, right? But the drive comes to a dead end because of not Baker, receivers not being able to catch the ball, offensive line not blocking for him. The Browns do have one of the best offensive lines in football when healthy. Finally thought that they got healthy. Batonio goes out. But I will say this. The Browns should still be blocking better. You have Treader. You have these guys. There is no reason why Baker Mayfield should be running for his life as much as he does when you have that offensive line. Batonio going out, if you don't have the best offensive line in football because of 1 or 2 guys, you have the best, or you know what I mean? You have the best offensive line in football because of every guy that's up front. But you shouldn't, like one guy missing should not totally collapse that offensive line. And that's the problem I have is I'm not going to sit there and say, well, Batonio being out is why the Browns really no, not Batonio. I'm sorry, Conklin. I kept saying Batonio. My apologies. Conklin. Oh, well, Conklin's out. That's why they struggled. That's not why. I'm sure he would have helped, yes, but that's not why. Baker he's like 5th. He's the 5th most sacked quarterback in the NFL. They have not had their offensive line completely healthy since week 2. Super. That's not an excuse. It's a reason. There's a reason the offensive line doesn't look as buttoned up as last year and the year before that. But that's because they haven't had the full offensive line out there. But my goodness, even having 2 or 3 of the 5 or 3 of those guys, that they should still be better than half their opponents that they face. And that's the problem. So the offensive line breakdowns, Kevin Stefanski's inability to be able to call a game, and that's what his job is. I was critical of Zach Taylor last week because I said, you brought Zach Taylor over to lead your offense, and yet you're in the bottom half of every offensive statistical category out there. I think the Bengals definitely improved they totally dominated the Steelers, so their offensive numbers are different this week than last week when I was pulling those numbers. But I was critical because I said Zach Taylor was brought over to be a branch of the Sean McVay offensive genius, right? He's supposed to be, carrying a lot of those schemes to put Joe Burrow and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon. You guys should be getting more out of that offense than what you're actually getting. You guys got mad at me for saying that, but when you started looking at where they were ranked offensively in the bottom 10 offensively, bottom 10 in passing, bottom 10 in all this, and I'm like, how do you guys not see that? How is that not something that you guys pay attention to and say, oh, yeah, we should be better? I know you're happy with where you're at because you've been bad for so long that you feel good about being improved. But you have way too many weapons, the Bengals do, to be as average or below average offensively as they are. Had a great game yesterday. I'm not taking that away from them. But heading into that game, statistically, not very good. So It's the same thing with Kevin Stefanski. Stefanski is supposed to be this offensive genius, right? He's supposed to be able to bring all these offensive schemes to the table that's going to open up the offense. It's going to be great for Baker Mayfield. It's going to be great for Jarvis Landry and obviously Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And they were horrible. How many games since outside of the Bengals game where they put 40 up on the Bengals, they've been scoring 7 points, 10 points, 14, 15 points. I mean, my goodness. Like, I don't care how bad you think Baker Mayfield is. If you think that Baker Mayfield is why they're scoring so little points, you don't know football. Baker may not be the answer to all the problems, but he's definitely not the problem, if that makes sense. Like, Baker Mayfield can still play at a pretty high level. Baker Mayfield was making some very good throws last night. Baker Mayfield connected on a lot of nice plays last night that weren't caught on the receiving end. But the reason people don't want to give Baker the benefit of the doubt is because for every 5 catches that are dropped, there's 5 overthrows. There's 5 throws too far to the right, too far to the left, too, short, long, what have you. And I get it, and that's on Baker. But there's only a handful of quarterbacks that are dead accurate in the NFL. And I don't think it's right to hold Baker, who I've never acknowledged as an elite quarterback. It's not right to hold Baker to a Patrick Mahomes or an Aaron Rodgers standard or a Tom Brady standard because he's not those guys. So it means that, yes, guys around him do need to step their game up. But the Browns don't have a guy to attack down the field. And Kevin Stefanski should know that when you look at the numbers for this Browns team, that they are not good when he has to throw the ball 30 or more times. The Cleveland Browns lifetime right now are 14-21 when Baker Mayfield has to throw the ball 20 or more or 30 or more times. When you have Baker Mayfield be the brunt of your offense, they're not very good. You paid all that money for that offensive line. You paid all that money for the running backs just so that you can not use them last night. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt last night, guys, combined for 15 carries. 15 combined carries between Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And they accumulated 36 total yards. That's it. No touchdowns. They averaged 2.4 yards per carry, just under 2.5 yards per carry. They were non-existent. And I know that the Ravens were stacking the box. Here's what I'll give the Bengals credit for. The Steelers stacked the box. They know Joe Burrow is an interception machine. They wanted Joe Burrow to throw the ball. They stacked that box, though, and you know what they did? I give Zach Taylor credit. He's like, I don't care if you stack the box. We have Joe freaking Mixon. We're going to run the ball right down your damn throat. And that's what they did. And Joe Mixon's good, but he's not Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt. He's better than Kareem Hunt, but you know what I mean. He's not Nick Chubb, but you don't have a bad running back. Like, I'm a big fan of Joe Mixon, so I'm not really bad-mouthing him. I'm just saying at the end of the day, the Bengals, they had the cojones to look at the Steelers and say, I know you're stacking the box, but we're going to run it right down your throat. You're going to stop Joe Mixon. You can stack the box all you want. Still not stopping Joe Mixon. The Ravens stacked the box yesterday, and Kevin Stefanski played scared. I don't care if you hand it off 10 straight times and get 1 to 2 yards a carry. Nick Chubb is he's just a battering ram. He's just going to keep hitting them and hitting them and hitting them. And then by the second half, fourth quarter, you're going to exhaust them. And then that's when those big lanes open up. We see it every damn week. I praised the Bengals earlier because they do not show any intimidation against the Steelers. Like, they are not intimidated by the Steelers. I give the Bengals credit to this. They weren't intimidated by the Ravens. The Browns played scared of the Ravens last night, and that's the problem I have. The Browns lost last night because they're not disciplined. The Browns lost last night because they're not well coached. The Browns lost last night because Kevin Stefanski got clearly outcoached. And it's the second time this freaking weekend that the damn Harbaughs ruined my day. I have nothing bad to say about the Bengals, by the way. The Bengals played great. They played their game. They didn't play scared. I thought that the Bengals, who beat the Steelers already this season, and although they had the Steelers at home this time, I thought that I was curious to see what the mental approach would be of, okay, I know we beat them already, but man, they're going to be really angry. They're going to come at us. They're going to hit us hard because the Steelers actually had all their defense with it. Like, they were way more healthy for the second go round with the Bengals than what they were the first time. I discredited the first win against the Steelers because I was like, okay, they literally didn't have one of their main pass rushers. They didn't have Watt. They didn't have Minka. They didn't have any of those guys. So you beat up on the Steelers when they didn't have any of the players that make this bad Steelers team the Steelers to begin with. I discredited it. I'm not discrediting anything. The better team won yesterday, and the better team completely dominated. The Steelers are embarrassing. Give me a damn break. But they're embarrassing because the Bengals embarrassed them. And they didn't play afraid. They didn't back down from the Steelers. They took it to the Steelers. I hate complimenting the damn Bengals, but like the one thing I'm jealous of a few things of the Bengals because they've made me wrong on a lot of things. I didn't think they'd win 8 games this year. They were probably going to win 9 to 10. Probably capable of winning more, but I'm going to say they're going to finish in that 9 to 10 win range. I laughed at you guys when you told me that you thought they could win 10 games. I laughed. I was wrong. Okay? You got it out of me. I was wrong. But I'm jealous of the Bengals for this. They don't play afraid. Like, the Bengals should not be sweeping the Steelers. I have no problem. Like, okay, you split with them, super. But they shouldn't be going to Pittsburgh and kicking their ass. They already did that. They welcomed him into Paul Brown, still weren't intimidated, and they kicked their ass. The Bengals should be afraid to go play at Baltimore. They weren't afraid of playing at Baltimore. They destroyed Baltimore at Baltimore. They did to Baltimore what the Browns should have did last night, and that is take every mistake that they make and use it against them. Lamar Jackson, 4 freaking interceptions, and the Browns could put only 10 points up on the board. Are you freaking kidding me? That's not a Baker Mayfield issue. Baker Mayfield was actually the only guy on the field last night that was capable of moving the ball up and down the field, and he was running for his life the whole time. Him and Jarvis Landry, big play after big play. Jarvis still had some bad drops, though. All right, Hooper had some big drops. Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's supposed to, I thought was going to be this big breakout receiver at post-OBJ, especially after the performance that they had against the Bengals. They haven't looked at whatever team that was that showed up in Cincinnati a month ago. If we could just go back and bottle that team and take it with us every single week, the Browns would be fine. I have no clue what happened. Bengals, you should be embarrassed of yourselves for that. I don't know what you guys did that day, but you let a very bad Browns team, offensive team, have their way with you. I don't get it because the Browns haven't looked the same since then. And to be honest, they're healthier since when they played you. The Browns are healthier now than when and I know Baker's more banged up than a month ago, but the rest of the team as a whole is healthier. It's flabbergasting to me. I don't get it. It's frustrating. They're 6-6. As well as the Bengals have played, the Browns are still within a game of the Bengals. That's what's crazy about all of this. The division is still there. But the problem is the Browns, you've already lost to the Steelers. You already lost to the Ravens. You're 1-2 in AFC North play with the 1 win coming against the Bengals. You still have another matchup with them. They still have another Steelers matchup. They still have another Ravens matchup. The Browns head into the bye week 6-6, and then they have Baltimore waiting for them at Paul Brown coming back. Or not Paul Brown, I'm sorry. In Cleveland, Paul Brown, my fault. But either way, you see my point. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, Cleveland went away from who they are. You have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and you hand the ball off that little amount of times. You let Baker Mayfield throw the ball 37 times. How many empty backfield sets do they go in? It's not like, and at times I get it. Okay, you throw the football because your team's trailing. The Browns were trailing by 1 possession. You didn't have to panic that much to the point that you had to go to empty back formation just to let Baker try to heave the ball up and down the field. He made some big plays, yes, but I'm sorry. The game was never out of reach. Nick Chubb should have been the battering ram that was just continuing to get the ball up the middle. Even if you weren't getting big chunk plays early on, you still continue to stick to the run game. Kevin Stefanski freaks out. He gets overwhelmed. I still think he is a better football mind than Zach Taylor, but what I give Zach Taylor credit for is the dude just doesn't back down. He doesn't get intimidated. He does what works. But the Cleveland Browns in the Baker Mayfield era are 14 and now 21 when Baker Mayfield throws the ball 30 or more times. They are not a good football team when Baker throws the ball 30 or more times. Simple as that. And that's okay. Because when you know who your team is and you know what clicks for your team, you got to operate around those strengths. That's why so many people spend so much time wasting my time telling me what Baker can't do. And I'm like, well, why don't you focus on what he can do? Because what Baker can do is still a lot better than half the damn quarterbacks in the NFL. Baker's not elite, but he could still do a lot. As long as you don't ask him to do more than what he's capable of doing. And Stefanski goes away from that way too damn much. The Browns are not a good football team when he throws the ball 30 or more times. He threw the ball 37 times yesterday for 246 yards and a touchdown. Super. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, 15 combined carries, only 36 yards, no touchdowns, 5 dropped catches, penalties all over the place, sloppy special team play, missed field goal. I'm sorry, but if you think Baker cost them that game last night, I don't think you understand football. I think that at that point, you were letting your hatred for Baker get in the way of your actual football logic. The Bengals are better because they're healthier and they're more disciplined. They're not more talented, but they're more disciplined and they're healthier. That's it. But, man, I would really love for Cleveland to figure out how not to be so damn undisciplined, because that's really the part that frustrates me the most. Cleveland Browns, you frustrate me. The Cincinnati Bengals, you've made some adjustments since the bye week, and I love what I'm seeing. I'm a big fan of Joe Mixon, that is. But the Cleveland Browns are horrible when Baker throws the ball 30 or more times. Horrible. And you guys have been telling me that the Browns are bad because Baker throws the ball 30 or more times. And it's up to the coach to make sure that you coach around your quarterback's faults. Stefanski's not doing that. But guess who is? Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor is coaching against Joe Burrow's faults. Joe Burrow is not as good as you guys think he is. And Zach Taylor is telling you that based on his play calling. That's what you guys told me. Oh, man, Baker Mayfield, just look at how they call the run-pass plays. They're clearly afraid to give him the ball a lot. That's why they hand the ball off so much, right? You told me that that's why Baker's bad, because Kevin Stefanski and the Browns, when they go away from their game plan and they try to let Baker throw a lot, they're not that good. And that's what makes Baker bad. Well, I hate to tell you, but Joe Burrow's the same. And because Zach Taylor has acknowledged the fact that Joe Burrow is the same as Baker, more talented, slightly more talented, but they are treating Joe Burrow the way that the Browns treat Baker Mayfield at times. And that is less Joe Burrow makes the Bengals better. And that's not a hot take. That's not to stir the pot. Those are the facts, and I have them for you when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Just so you know, I'm not hating on the Bengals here. The Bengals, if they stick to what they're doing, will win this division, and they'll make a deep playoff run. Just saying. I'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Get away from the hustle and bustle with Tropical Smoothie Cafe's cranberry truffle and very berry cranberry smoothies and new Caprese grilled cheese. Order online or in the app for delivery at participating locations.
Hi, my name is Ted, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Shake is when the peppermint shake is available, that's to me sort of announces that the holiday season is here. I guess most people count down the days until Christmas, but me, I count down the days until the shake comes out.
Hi, I'm Michaela, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Milkshake is that first sip when you taste the peppermint chip pieces, it's like catching snowflakes on your tongue.
Share a peppermint chip milkshake from Chick-fil-A this holiday. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
I'm Serena Williams. You watch me live on TV.
And I'm the girl from that alien movie you watch on demand. Our worlds have been brought together thanks to DirecTV Stream.
Why are you whispering?
Because the alien will hear us.
Maybe let the alien know you can get DirecTV Stream with no annual contract.
He seems pretty excited by that, actually.
Introducing DirecTV Stream, the best of live TV and on demand with no annual contract. Get your TV together at DirecTV.com.
Requires high-speed internet incompatible device. Content varies by package and location. Restrictions apply.
Take home Frickers Holiday Feast. Frickin' yum, 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 yum. Our gift cards always please. Frickin' yum, 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 yum.
Take home 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $29.99, carry out only. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and you'll get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. The ho, ho, ho for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Frickin' yum, yum.
Audible is best-selling audiobooks, exclusive originals, and podcasts all in one app. This holiday season, treat yourself with 60% off your first 3 months. Just visit audible.com for more details.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now. Good luck.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a
clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
At Allstate, we've been saying you're in good hands for a long time. But what exactly does that mean? Does it mean you're protected from life's uncertainties? Does it mean you can worry less and live a little more? Does it mean you're not alone, even when things get kind of hard? Actually, yes. Yes, it does. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Allstate and affiliates offer products and services subject to availability, terms, and conditions.
Unjunk your sleep at Mattress Firm's Cyber Week sale and wake up a better you. Shop in-store or online and save up to $500 when you get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase up to a $499 value. Or save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic, the most highly recommended bed in America. And you can shop with confidence thanks to our low price guarantee. Unjunk your sleep only at Mattress Firm. Offer valid with qualifying purchase. Restrictions apply. See details at mattressfirm.com.
From city streets to back roads, from road warrior to carpooler, there are some things you can always count on, like the reliability, durability, and power of Die Hard, America's most trusted auto battery. No matter where your journey takes you, count on Die Hard to get you started on the road ahead. Available at your local Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest stores.
Suffering from junk sleep? The sleep experts at Mattress Firm can help. Shop the Cyber Week sale and save up to $500 on top-rated mattress brands like Sleepy's.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. Justin Kenner with you here on a Monday. I hope everyone enjoyed their Thanksgiving. I know I sure did. And, sports can always make something great or make something bad. And, sports tried to make a lot of things bad this past weekend. But I got to see a lot of family. I got to hang out with a lot of close friends. I was fortunate, got to have a Friendsgiving with all my closest friends. I got to have multiple Thanksgivings, between my family, my fiance's family. So, that's a good thing. Last night, I was at a friend's house watching the Browns and Ravens game. They had their Thanksgiving yesterday, so I got to eat a ton of leftovers from their Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving food, by the way. I could eat Thanksgiving food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In fact, I did have turkey for breakfast this morning. So there's that, but it is what it is. Anyways, I hope everyone did really enjoy their time off. There's something awesome. Like every Friday after Thanksgiving, I always take that day off, and I always like to just do absolutely nothing. I'm one of those where when I have nothing to do, I can't do nothing. I have to find something to do. I have to stay busy. But there is something about that Friday after Thanksgiving that my mind actually does let me just unplug. Like I just watch basketball all day. I watch football all day. I don't leave the couch. I just hang out with my dogs all day. And my fiance, unfortunately, she still has to go to work, but I have the whole house to myself. It is awesome. I absolutely love it. It's the only day a year that I can actually just sit there and enjoy doing nothing. So there's that. But we're right back at it today. The holidays, I love it, but I hate it because it's a lot of stop and go. We'll get 5 shows in and then stop for a couple days, and we'll get 2 or 3 in, and then Kev's off, and then Kev comes back, and then I'm off. So I can't wait to get through December. I can't wait to get to January and get back on a normal routine. But my goodness, there's so much fun stuff to talk about. Again, congratulations. Dayton Flyers took care of business after losing 3 embarrassing home games, a week and a half ago. And not even a week later, win the ESPN Invitational that they were in, beating Miami, the Hurricanes out of the ACC. They took care of business against the number 4 team in Kansas. The top 25, I think, came out today. I don't know where Kansas dropped. Look, some Flyer fans were mad they didn't crack the top 25. You weren't going to crack the top 25, even with beating Kansas and Miami, mainly because those losses are going to hurt you. The losses you had early on. The crazy thing is you beat those schools like you're supposed to, and for one, that means you would have been undefeated. Coming back, UD definitely would have been in the top 20. I'd actually beating Kansas, I'd say you would have been top 15. And that's the thing. You're supposed to beat those bad teams. I believe you go back and replay those, you're 3-0, and then you're undefeated heading in to the Invitational, and then you're undefeated coming back. Those 3 losses are going to haunt you for a while, but you can string together a nice little couple wins like they already did, return that momentum home, get some quality wins at home, few road games that you have before conference play, get some wins there. I think UD's in good shape. You just got to continue, building on what they accomplished over there. Ohio State losing to Michigan. I'm super frustrated with that. Before we get into this Bengals topic real quick, I do have to do station identification.
WYNG 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Ohio State loses to Michigan. We're going to get into more of that coming up here as we are officially kicked off here in hour number 3. But I wanted to talk about your Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, who I've been super critical of for years. I actually am really impressed with how they've looked the last couple of weeks, especially coming after the bye week. You lost to the Jets and you got destroyed by the Browns. And there was a lot of things going on in Cincinnati that I'm like, if I point it out, I'm just a hater. But what I'm pointing out are flaws with the team. I'm not saying this as a hater. I'm saying this as someone that is, I'm very aware of the situation here. Joe Burrow is, he's okay, but he's not elite like you guys think he is. And this isn't here goes Kinner again. Guys, just listen. You guys are hypocrites. Every time when the Browns destroyed the Bengals a month ago, Baker Mayfield had a very good game. But you guys told me Baker sucks. He had nothing to do with that win against Cincinnati because they won because of the run game and the defense, and that Baker was bad. That if Baker was good, he would have had more passing yards against the Bengals. And you guys do that to me every week. When the Browns get a big win and Baker only has 220, 230 yards, you guys like to remind me he only has 220, 230 yards. You like to remind me that they are winning in spite of their quarterback. The Browns are winning because of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the defense. I want you guys said that. You guys are looking at me like I'm crazy for what I'm about to say, or you guys will be looking at me like I'm crazy. Some of you are smart in the comment section, and you already knew where I was going with this. I already see where this is going. Brian Hetzel, he is the biggest hypocrite of them all. Brian, I do like you, man. We've never met. I do like it. We butt heads a lot in the chat section, but it's cool. I appreciate that you come back every day, even when I'm rude to you. But you're rude to me, and I still interact with you. But Brian says Tom Brady is a Hall of Famer, and there are times in that Pats run that the Patriots ran the ball more. Why pass the ball when you could pound the rock? Michigan just proved that. Well, let me ask you, where was that logic when you were taking your stupid, ignorant shots at the Browns? Brian, how come you only use logic with your team? How come you never use logic with the Cleveland Browns? How come it was when the Browns win and Baker throws for under 200 yards, when the Browns win, when Baker only throws the ball 27 times, when the Browns win and, he only throws for 230 yards, you love to point that out. Oh, Baker sucked today. He only threw for 220 yards. Brian Hetzel. Bengals fans all over. That's you guys, not me. That's your logic. So I have a responsibility as a sports radio host to make sure I can relate to my audience. So I have to make sure that I'm speaking your language. So you have conditioned me to believe that a quarterback whose coach doesn't allow them to throw more than 30 times, a quarterback who struggles to throw for more than 200 yards in the game, a quarterback who has stopped throwing a lot of touchdowns, you have conditioned me to believe that that's a bad thing, right? Right? Like I want to relate to you guys. I want to be you. I want us to be one. You told me that Baker's bad because his coach doesn't let him throw for over 30 yards. You told me that. You told me that Baker and the Browns are bad because, as I said earlier, the Cleveland Browns, when Baker Mayfield throws the ball 30 or more times, the Cleveland Browns are 14. When Baker Mayfield throws the ball 30 or more times, they are 14-21. Bengals fans always tag me in that stat, and they get so excited. Like, oh my God, Kinner's going to hate this. We're going to point out to Kinner that when Baker throws the ball 30 or more times, that the Browns are bad. Oh man, Kinner's going to be so angry. Oh my God, I can't wait. You guys do that. A lot of you, Brian, even you. A lot of you guys do that. And that's fair. That's fair. You know, Kevin Stefanski has proved with his play calling that, you know what? I don't trust Baker to throw the ball 30 or more times, so we're going to limit how much he throws the ball. And we're going to hand the ball off a ton. We're going to let our run game win us games, and we're going to let the defense win us games. That sounds like it makes sense, but you guys told me that no, what that is actually saying is that approach means you don't have a quarterback. You know, Ryan Tannehill is viewed as he's a very average to below average quarterback, but they only win because of Derrick Henry and the defense, right? Yeah, everyone says that. Baker Mayfield gets destroyed all the time because his coach can't trust him to throw the ball more than 30 times, so they have to hand the ball off a ton to Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and let the defense do the work. You guys told me that that's a bad thing. Okay, I'm confident in Baker Mayfield. I'm confident in the Browns' ability to win football games, but you guys don't like what the coaches are telling us Browns fans about how they manage Baker Mayfield. Well, what if I told you that Joe Burrow is being managed the same way? What if I told you that your interception machine of a quarterback has had to be contained a little bit? And he's not as good as what you guys think. Based on your logic, take a look. This is not Kinner's opinion. These are facts. For those of you watching on Facebook, for those of you watching on YouTube, did you know that the Cincinnati Bengals are 3-0 this season when Joe Burrow throws for under 200 passing yards? Man, I can't imagine that the Chiefs win a game if Patrick Mahomes throws for under 200 yards, but the Bengals somehow are undefeated when that happens. Wow. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. There's more. This is cute. The Bengals are 5-0 when throwing less than 30 times in a game. Wow. 5-0. So you mean to tell me that a team is better when they limit how much they let their elite quarterback throw the football? Your rules, not mine. I was told Baker was bad because if he throws more than 30 times, his team loses football games. You guys love pointing that out. It's crazy that your team is the same way. Oh my goodness. Let's keep going, shall we? Did you know that the Bengals this season, ladies and gentlemen, are 2-4 when Joe Burrow throws more than 30 times? And did you know that Joe Burrow lifetime, he is 4-11-1 when he throws the ball 30 or more times? Wow. What I think we have here, folks, is another Baker Mayfield. I do. I think, I mean, based on your rules, based on your logic, I want to relate to my audience. And I've been told that this is dominantly a Cincinnati Bengals area. And guess what? I'm caving to you. I want to think like you. So you win. I agree with you. When your quarterback throws for 30 or more times a game and it's costing you games, that means that quarterback's not very good. You guys have been telling me that about Baker for a long time. And guess what? That's you guys. That's you. So here's the deal. It really is Joe's team. Joe Mixon's. It's not Joe Burrow, because you cannot convince me after all these years of you poo-pooing on Baker Mayfield, you cannot convince me that your quarterback is elite when your team's record is so poor when he throws the ball 30 times or more. The Kansas City Chiefs would never limit how much they let Patrick Mahomes throw. The Green Bay Packers would never limit how much to let Aaron Rodgers throw, and that's fine. You know why that doesn't bother me? Is because I have been very upfront from the beginning that Baker Mayfield is not Patrick Mahomes, that he's not Aaron Rodgers, that he's not Tom Brady. But he's a very good quarterback, and I believe Joe Burrow is a very good quarterback. I just believe that Joe Burrow is more Baker Mayfield than he is what you guys think he is. Yesterday, he nearly threw 3 interceptions. He loves throwing interceptions. Joe Burrow threw an interception. The second interception it was like watching Baker Mayfield throw to his wide receivers. It was directly in the hands of the defensive player, and he dropped it. And then the third interception nearly happened because it was batted at the line of scrimmage. The ball's high in the air. Steelers linebacker dove for it, couldn't get there in time. I mean, we're going to rip Lamar Jackson for throwing 4 interceptions. I mean, how many interceptions did Joe Burrow nearly throw yesterday? He still threw 1. Look, you guys have made me almost badmouth Joe Burrow, but I'm just trying to convince you guys that you guys are so hard on my team that I just like to remind you that your team is not that far off from being my team. But in all seriousness, and by the way, those are all facts. I'm not making those up. That's the tail of the tape. The same numbers you love to use to discredit my quarterback, guess what? They also discredit yours. So we need to have a discussion, folks. How does this work? Is all of a sudden, because your quarterback is being handled with kids' gloves now, all of a sudden, is it acceptable to throw less? How come guys like Brian Hetzel and some of you other Bengals fans, how come none of you were saying, you know what? I'm not going to criticize Baker Mayfield for his coach not letting him throw more than 30 times. Why would you let Baker Mayfield throw the ball 30 times when you have such a dominant run game? Don't go away from what works. You're right. That's called logic. It makes sense. Why would I want Baker Mayfield throwing the ball so much when you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt? I've been saying that for years, and you told me I was stupid. You told me I was wrong. And then guys like Brian, the epitome of hypocrites, on Facebook, have the nerve to pull this. Tom Brady is a Hall of Famer, and there were times that the Pats ran the ball more. Why pass the ball when you could pound the rock? Oh, now all of a sudden that's a part of your language. Now all of a sudden that's a part of your logic. It's so funny how you guys are hypocrites. It's so funny how you tell me that Baker Mayfield is bad because his coach doesn't let him throw for more than 30 times a game. You told me how bad Baker Mayfield is because when he does throw for 30 or more times, the team is poor. They've won 14 games with Baker Mayfield when he throws 30 or more. They've lost 21 games when he throws 30 or more. I agree. That's not good. That's not good. But the tail of the tape is the Bengals are better with less Joe Burrow. You need more Joe, just not Joe Burrow. You need more Joe Mixon. So let me get this straight. The Bengals are a team that relies on their run game and their defense to win games because they can't win games when their quarterback throws for 30 or more attempts because he throws too many interceptions. So why can't you Bengals fans for just once say, okay, Kinner's onto something here. You're right. You are why I continue to pound this topic over and over and over, because until you acknowledge that I am right, because by the way, when I provide these numbers right here, the same numbers that you use to provide why you think you're right, how come when I use the same logic against you, now all of a sudden I'm wrong again? Guys, when I'm out in public and I see people with gigantic shoulders, I am like, that's a Bengals fan. Everyone's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, that guy or gal, their shoulders are huge. Everyone's like, what are you talking about? It's from all the goalposts moving. You guys are freaking jacked, man. All the goalposts moving. You guys are freaking jacked. Oh, we're going to move it over here. We're going to move it over there. We're going to bring it back here. Oh, let's bring it up there. Oh, you don't look good in the front yard. No, let's bring it in the backyard. You guys. So, in all seriousness, I did want to point that out, and we can return to a normal conversation, but I'm not wrong there. The Bengals are bad. When Joe Burrow throws the ball 30 or more times, they've only won 4 of those games. They've lost 11 of those, and they tied once. I'm playing by your rules, not mine. 518-1410. I'll step away for a few moments and we'll take your calls. But before that, you may think I'm trolling the Bengals here. I'm not. I actually really like what I've seen from the Bengals the last 2 weeks because the Bengals won a lot of games in the first half of the season, but I never once felt good about how they looked doing it. I was like, yeah, they're winning some games, but they also look really bad for long stretches of time. The best that the Bengals have looked have been the last 2 weeks, and that includes the game where they dominated the Ravens. But the game that they dominated the Ravens, that was more of the Ravens playing really, really poor and not mixed with. It was a perfect storm for the Bengals. It was like the Ravens played poor last night, but luckily for them, they didn't get the Browns playing at the Bengals level because it could have resulted in another blowout loss at home in primetime for them. The Ravens played horrible. The Browns just played worse. Congrats, Cleveland. Gosh, you guys tick me off. But Cincinnati played one of their better games that day, but it was elevated because of how poorly the Ravens played. No, I'm not discrediting that. But when your quarterback throws for 400 yards, that's not Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow doesn't throw for 400 yards in a game. but he threw for 400 yards against the Ravens in the first game. So it took a wide receiver having 200 total yards receiving and their rookie wide receiver and Jamar Chase. It took your quarterback throwing for 400. There was just a lot of things that aren't normal about that box score, about that stat line. No, I'm not discrediting it, but it's true. You look at those things, you're like, okay, that's not normal. We're not going to blow out every team we face because we're not going to expect to see Joe Burrow throw for 400 every night. We're not going to see Jamar Chase have 200 total receiving yards in the game. We know they're capable of it from time to time, but it's just a really good game on their part. Joe Burrow's not going to average 400 a night, 200 a night for Jamar Chase. So it was a perfect storm. They went in there, they weren't intimidated, and they took it to Baltimore. I'm not discrediting that. Good for them. Okay? But the thing is, they were so inconsistent. One week they look like that, and the next week they would need 4 full quarters to beat Jacksonville. I know Jacksonville was before that, but you see my point. The point is they looked horrible. Then they lose to the Jets. They don't know who they are against the Jets. But that bye week was perfect because since coming back, the Bengals have looked like a different team. They look more focused defensively, and they have an identity offensively. They know who they are offensively. They're a run team. I said from the beginning, with everyone bragging about the Bengals and how Joe Burrow's better stats than Baker, I said Joe Burrow's stats should be better than Baker's because they're a pass offense. They pass a lot. Well, guess what? They're not doing a whole lot right now. They're not passing a lot. Like they're not. In fact, the whole focus has really been on Joe Mixon. I mean, look at this. I mean, if you look at Joe Burrow threw the ball 40 times against the Cleveland Browns. They lost 40-20 or 41-16. Joe Burrow threw the ball 34 times against the Jets. They lost 34-31 against the Jets. Okay. Joe Burrow threw the ball 38 times. They lost to Green Bay. Threw the ball 30 times, lost to Chicago. Threw the ball 18 times against Pittsburgh, it won. Threw the ball, continue going down the list. Threw the ball 29 times against the Lions and won. Threw the ball, continuing down this list, coming out of the bye week, Joe Burrow throws the ball 29 times, they beat the Raiders. Throws the ball yesterday 24 times, they beat Pittsburgh. Less Joe Burrow, more Joe Mixon. Less Joe, more Joe. Less Joe Burrow, more Joe Mixon. Because somehow the Bengals, with a quarterback throwing for under 200 yards, are 3-0 on the season. That is crazy to me. The Chiefs would be 0-3 if they had 3 games of Patrick Mahomes throwing under 200 yards. Because Patrick Mahomes is the Kansas City Chiefs. Joe is the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Mixon is the Cincinnati Bengals. Baker Mayfield's not the Cleveland Browns. Nick Chubb is the Cleveland Browns. That's all. And I believe I've brought enough to the table to win this argument. You're not going to counter with anything that will dispute that, because for you to dispute it and try to turn the narrative, that means you're basically telling me Baker is really good as well. It's either Joe Burrow is bad based on the logic you use for why Baker's bad, or you have to admit that Baker's actually pretty damn good when healthy, and he is. When Baker throws a lot, the team doesn't win. When Burrow throws a lot, the team doesn't win. When you limit Baker Mayfield, the Browns win. When you limit Joe Burrow, the Bengals win. It's that simple. The Bengals will win the division. They will win in the playoffs, maybe get to an AFC title game. Less Joe, more Joe. Less Joe Burrow, more Joe Mixon. Congratulations, you're the Cleveland Browns. Healthy Cleveland Browns, at least. All right, we'll be back in a moment. I haven't had the phone lines open today because I'm basically operating this by myself, but I will open them up. 518-1410. I'm only going to take your calls during the commercial break to get you guys on hold. Calls will not be accepted when we come back. So if you're going to jump on the show with me, you got to call in right now. 518-1410. We'll be back in just a moment.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 43. Tonight will be mostly cloudy, a low near 34. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 48. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
from city streets to back roads. From road warrior to carpooler. There are some things you can always count on, like the reliability, durability, and power of DieHard, America's most trusted auto battery. No matter where your journey takes you, count on DieHard to get you started on the road ahead. Available at your local Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest stores.
It's not just boughs of holly that are going to deck your halls this holiday season. It's you decking the whole house with outdoor lights and holiday decor from the Home Depot. Fill your yard with Yuletide treasure like a hand-painted LED reindeer sculpture. Want to build a snowman? You can, with our 6-foot sparkling snowman covered in lights. You can even pair it with a Disney inflatable spin. You know, from the movie your kids still watch 3 times a day. 'Tis the season to make things jolly, and the Home Depot has everything you need to make the holidays yours. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches, weakness, or discomfort in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 selling nerve care company. Nervive contains alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, and B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live your life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com.
Is your vehicle ready for holiday travel? O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you save on your next oil change. Right now, get a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after mail-in rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Castrol Edge full synthetic motor oil for $32.95. Plus, earn double O Rewards points with your purchase. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Would you like to save hundreds of dollars on your real estate taxes? Celebrate the holidays with the gift of a lower tax bill. This is Montgomery County Auditor Carl Keith, and if you're a homeowner age 65 or older, or you are permanently and totally disabled, you could be eligible for the homestead exemption. To find out if you qualify, call my homestead hotline at 937-225-4341. The deadline to apply for this tax break is December 31st, but if you are already enrolled, you do not need to reapply. New applicants are subject to an income test. Visit our website for more information at mcauditor.org or call 937-225-4341. That hotline number again is 937-225-4341. And remember, the deadline to apply is December 31st. This is Auditor Carl Keith wishing you and your homestead the best this holiday season.
Take home Fricker's Holiday Feast. Frickin' yum, 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 yum. Our gift cards always please. Frickin' yum, 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 yum.
Take home 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $29.99, carry out only. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and you'll get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. The ho, ho, ho! For fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Frickin' yum, yum.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
You may have heard that Allstate has new low auto rates, but isn't it time to see for yourself? Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today. Staples Connect is a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We do have the Buckeye Roundtable coming up immediately following the show here, 36 minutes from now. And then tomorrow night, Ohio State The Buckeyes welcome in the Duke Blue Devils. How about that? The Big Ten ACC Challenge right there. I'm excited for that one. Duke at Ohio State. And it's the Mike Krzyzewski farewell tour. You can catch that game right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 8:30 is when coverage begins here on 1410 Wing AM, and you can catch the full game. Again, we are dating some of the Buckeyes football. Yes, basketball as well. Don't miss a second of the action all season long. Ohio State, the Buckeyes, the Duke Blue Devils tomorrow night on 1410 Wing AM. How about that matchup right there? I'm actually pretty pumped because a couple friends, we're all heading to Columbus, immediately following my show tomorrow. I'm pumped to watch Duke in the farewell season for Mike Krzyzewski. Some Bengals fans not happy with me at the moment. Shocker. I'm not hating. I've been told I'm a bandwagon Browns fan, as if that discredits anything I just said. Why would that matter? Because I haven't been a Browns fan my entire life. Like, that's the thing. Like, Lamar, you say stupid things all the time. That's probably one of the stupider ones you've said. I was born in El Paso, Texas. My family and I grew up a Cowboys fan because I grew up in El Paso, Texas. My whole family is Cowboys fans because we lived in Texas. I moved to Ohio, decided to pick up an Ohio team. So I picked the Cleveland Browns. I don't understand what rule I broke. Because I have a feeling that, and by the way, me being a Browns fan doesn't change my view of the Cincinnati Bengals. It's true. Those were facts that I put up on the screen. It's not my fault that you guys aren't smart enough to understand numbers, because if you did, you would be like, oh, yeah, there is a story being told there. Like, I feel bad for you guys that you are that dumb when it comes to football. Don't tell me I'm a homer and I'm looking through blinded goggles when I'm sitting there putting numbers in front of you that show that your quarterback is not very good when you get more of your quarterback, and yet you have to get mad at me. That doesn't make any sense. That makes zero sense. My quarterback's great. Really? These numbers show differently. These numbers show that when your team has your quarterback throw 30 or more times, which is pretty realistic when you think you have an elite quarterback, the Chiefs use Patrick Mahomes a lot. The Packers use Aaron Rodgers a lot. The Bucs let Tom Brady throw it a lot. All those teams have very good run games. All those teams have elite quarterbacks. All right? The Bills, they let Josh Allen throw it a lot. Why? Elite quarterback. Justin Herbert and the Chargers, they let him throw it a lot. Why? He's elite quarterback. When your coach has to restrict how much you throw the football, it's because you are hurting your team. And that doesn't sound like an elite quarterback to me. I've never said Baker's elite. I've acknowledged the fact that the Browns have had to limit how much he throws the football, because when you get too much of Baker Mayfield, the Browns become bad. They are 14-21 when Baker Mayfield throws the ball 30 or more times. The Cincinnati Bengals, yes, I know Joe Burrow's been around less time, but you know what? It doesn't matter, because you people were throwing that record around to me, even in Baker's rookie season and second season. Now you want me to give Joe Burrow time? Well, wait for year 3. What do you mean wait for year 3? He has Jamar Chase, he has Joe Mixon, he has Tyler Boyd, he has T. Higgins, and an improved offensive line, and a branch of the Sean McVay coaching tree in Zach Taylor. What else does this cat need other than more crybaby fans like you who continue to make excuses, all while telling me that my quarterback is garbage, who has the same set of rules for him that your team has for your quarterback? I don't understand you people. I never have. I never will. It might be what cost me my job here in Dayton at some point, because I just can't seem to understand you people, and that's totally fine. But I am not going to back down and tell you that a quarterback that has to be used less for your team to be good is elite. I've never said Baker's elite. I said he's really good. And I've never said Joe Burrow's bad. I've just said he's not elite, and he's not. But I also don't want to hear that, well, he's only in year 2. Well, before it was, well, he hasn't even played 16 games yet. Well, now he's played 20-plus games, and now it's, well, he's only in year 2. Let's wait for year 3. What do you think is going to happen in year 3? You think all of a sudden he's just going to stop throwing interceptions? You think he's going to figure it out under Zach Taylor? No, I don't. You guys had put a finalization label on Baker in year 2. Baker is labeled as a bad quarterback because he had a bad second year. And you guys took that and ran with it. I didn't hear Bengals fans saying, well, let's give Baker the benefit of the doubt. He's only in year 2. Shut up. You never said that. You didn't. Baker's trash. He's no good. He's overrated. Blah, 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 blah. That was you, Bengals fans, not me. That was you. And now you are angry because you look dumb, because everything you ever said about my team's quarterback is so true about your quarterback. Baker Mayfield throws a lot of interceptions. Your quarterback leads the league in interceptions. Baker Mayfield, when he throws the ball 30 or more times, the Browns suck. The Bengals suck when Joe Burrow throws the ball 30 or more times. Baker Mayfield sucks because his coaches have to limit how much he throws. Zach Taylor has finally figured out that if we let Joe Burrow throw less, we're a better team. I get it. You're angry and you hate me for it. It's okay. If hating me makes you feel better about yourself and your team, that's okay. You could cheer Joe Burrow, and I'll let you cheer Joe Burrow, and I'll cheer Baker Mayfield. Just let me cheer Baker Mayfield. I am a child. I will treat you the way you treat me. And I have not been allowed to be a fan of Baker since he got in Cleveland. I was told I was an idiot for being a Baker Mayfield fan from the time he got in Cleveland. So I'm the bad guy. What I do to you, what you do to me. Oh, but Justin, you're the one with the sports radio show. Here's the deal. I don't think I'm that good of a sports radio host. I don't think I am that much different than you. What I've always prided myself in is that at the end of the day, I am not a former athlete. I don't pretend to be a former athlete. I don't pretend to be a good athlete. I do what works for me, and I'm a fan. That's how I fell in love with this job. I wanted to work in sports because I'm a fan of sports. I'm like you. I'm a fan. I don't have more expertise than you. Sometimes it comes across that way based on your horrible takes sometimes, but I'm a fan at the end of the day. But yet I could take time to sit back and look at Baker and say, oh man, he has some restrictions. The Browns really have to do a lot to work with his strengths to limit his weaknesses. And you know who's figuring that out now is the Cincinnati Bengals. And my whole point about that is this is why I've kept saying, the Browns should not extend Baker Mayfield because of what he can't do. Or you extend Baker Mayfield for what he can do. This is a team that won next to absolutely nothing for decades before he got there. And now we're mad at a team because they're not going to win 10 plus games because they have expectations. That's Baker Mayfield. I want them to extend Baker Mayfield for what he can do. And you're mad because I'm pointing out what Joe Burrow can't do, and that's lead his team throwing the ball 30 or more times. And that's okay. Because as long as Joe Mixon keeps running the ball the way he is, and as long as that hard-hitting defense continues making those types of plays that they've been making against the Raiders and against Pittsburgh, why do you care if I am acknowledging that your quarterback and your team is not good when your quarterback throws the ball up? Why does that bother you? It bothered me, and the reason it bothered me is because I had to acknowledge, okay, I'm just getting really super defensive because they're attacking my quarterback, but you know what? They're right. And you were right. Baker hurts the team when he throws the ball a lot. So why can I be an adult? I was going to say the bigger person, but I'm 5'5". I bet you 90% of our listeners are taller than me. Why can I be an adult and acknowledge that, yes, the quarterback that I'm the biggest fan of hurts my team when he throws the ball 30 or more? Why can I be a mature adult and you guys act like the jerks that you do about your quarterback? Why? You guys say I have a creepy obsession with my quarterback. You guys do with yours. You guys literally tweet things. Like I see some of you guys on Twitter and Facebook. You guys are weird. I love Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow wouldn't help you if your house was on fire. Joe Burrow doesn't give a rip about you and any of the problems you have in your life. For those of you that spent Thanksgiving alone this past Thursday, do you think Joe Burrow was like, oh man, I wonder what Bengal fan Jimmy in Dayton's doing today? Maybe I should call him. No. He's picking out his next dumb outfit to wear with his ugly sunglasses and Dunder Mifflin beanie. He don't care about you. Why do you love him? I'm a big fan of Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield they don't know who I am. Oh, but Justin, you have your own sports talk radio show. I'm a nobody. I'm in Dayton. I'm a nobody. Baker don't know who I am. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be a fan of him, but I'm not going to say weird, creepy stuff like you guys. Oh, I love Joe Burrow. Oh my gosh. Oh, he's my man crush. Blah, 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 blah. Give me a break. It's okay to be critical of your quarterback. Be critical because more of your quarterback makes your team bad. And it's okay to say that. It really is okay. Ron on Facebook, Broadsuck says, I do think Joe Burrow acknowledged your point this weekend. Lamar Shelley, he's still taking shots. He goes, Browns have a Super Bowl roster, and even you pointed out that the national media said that. The media also said the Browns are as good as Baker allows them to be. He failed. Why are you going down this rabbit hole? Lamar, man, I really hope that you don't spread this stupidity around people around you. They do have Super Bowl. They had Super Bowl expectations coming in. They still have Super Bowl expectations now. But injuries, it's not an excuse. It's the reality of it. We saw this team win at a high level last year when they were healthy. They're not healthy. Oh, but they got everyone back for this past game. Yeah, because we all know when you sit out for a month and a half and then come back to play in an actual game that you just pick up where you left off. Some guys are coming back before they're fully healed. And then that's how you end up like Jack Conklin, who has a season-ending injury, and we've probably seen the last of him in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield's on the field. Doesn't mean he's healthy. He did say he's starting to feel better than in weeks past. And you know what? His play resembled that a little bit yesterday. He was actually able to make some throws he wasn't making against the Lions and in weeks past. He's getting healthier, still injured. Oh, but all teams are banged up. Your team's not. Your team is very healthy. Your team's playing at a high level because Joe Burrow's 100%. And I love that, by the way. When Joe Burrow has an average game, you're like, well, he's still reeling from, he's still trying to heal from his, like, Joe Burrow and the team said he's 100% cleared and healthy and ready to go. You can't pick and choose when you want to use that as an excuse, folks. So thank you for that. Will on Facebook says, Steeler fan living in this area for 30 years. Yep, it's a strange fan base. I travel a lot, see a lot of different fan bases. Yep, who they land is weird, Kenner. Thank you, Will. Appreciate that. Then this is where Lamar said, dude is a bandwagon fan at that. Okay, that changes the fact that your team can't win games when your quarterback throws for 30 or more times. I'm just saying. Don't get mad at me. Ron goes on to say, Joe Burrow is a young quarterback and admitted he was trying to force things. Glad he is humble enough to understand what is needed of him. Folks, Baker Mayfield has said the same thing, you moron. Baker Mayfield has come out on multiple occasions and talks about how he has forced things. And that he feels like he needs to be a leader, that when the offense is flat, he tries to force things to make something happen, playing out of it. He has said that on more than one occasion. But because your dislike for him, you don't give him credit for that. But your quarterback, he'll tweet a Bible verse and, oh my God, it's Jesus and Joe Burrow. I mean, they just hang out every day. Last Supper every day. I mean, it's just those two hanging out. Give me a break, man. You guys are embarrassing. Gosh, it is what it is. Lamar says, it's not about the Bengals. You just lost the most injured team in the Ravens, the most injured team in football. The Browns are playing bad. I have said that. Lamar, what do you want me to say? It's like you guys are trying to win an argument that we're not really having. The Browns are 6-6 and not playing good football because they're injured. It's not an excuse. You guys sound stupid. Oh, the Browns, they need to play as if they're 100% when they're not 100%. And it's not even that they're not 100%. Collectively as a unit, there is no chemistry. There's a reason that the penalties, I mean, this was one of the least penalized team a year ago. They're very penalized now. It's the same roster as last year. And a lot of it has to do with team chemistry, not on the field all year. You have some guys coming in that are getting healthy. And then the second they come in, more players get hurt and go out. I mean, come on. The Bengals are getting better each week because it's the same damn Bengals every week. The only Cincinnati Bengals players that aren't getting better, that have actually regressed, where's your superstar wide receiver, your number one wide receiver? Where's Jamar Chase at? He's good for one good play a game, and that's about it. Where's his production? He caught a touchdown. That's super. He's been held scoreless 2 of the last 3 weeks. 2 of the last 4 weeks, technically. He was a non-factor. What's going on? Joe Burrow hasn't thrown for over 200 yards in 2 straight weeks. You come at me all the time about that with my guy. I'm just saying. Doug Toby says, Joe Burrow helps raise money for the poor people down in Athens for their food bank. No national commercial for his personal food bank. What are you talking about? He boo-hooed the whole time in his Heisman speech, bringing attention for it. It was all over the news. And now you're making me try to discredit something that he does that's really good. Baker Mayfield and the entire Browns were out, doing Thanksgiving meals for the homeless and for the needy in Cleveland over the week or last weekend. Do you guys get all warm and fuzzy inside? No, you don't. And that's okay. But stop acting like your quarterback's doing stuff that everyone else isn't. Every quarterback's out giving back to the community. Every team's out doing that. Joe Burrow is not some saint that no one else is doing. While every other quarterback is out stealing from the homeless, Joe Burrow's out giving back to the homeless. Stop. My goodness. All right, I'm done with that. 518-1410, 518-1410, trying to get these phone lines figured out, but I'm over that. But no, you could be mad all you want. But look, the bottom line is I didn't make it up. Take a look one more time before I move on from this. The Bengals this year are 3-0 when Joe Burrow throws less than 200 yards. That's weird. That's weird. You know why it's weird? Because when Baker Mayfield does that, you guys love to remind me how bad the Browns are. And Baker Mayfield, he threw for under 200 yards. My goodness, that's backup quarterback numbers right there. You're right. Not good. But it's only good when your quarterback does it. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The Bengals are 5-0 this season when he throws the ball less than 30 times. Man, less Joe Burrow makes your team better. Awful lot like the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield. The Bengals are 2-4 this season when he throws more than 30 times. Ooh, that's not good. Your quarterback makes your team worse. Not good. And then all time, the Cincinnati Bengals are 4-11-1 when Joe Burrow throws 30 or more. It's the last I'm going to touch on it this show, but just keep that in mind. When you come at me and my team, I will come at you and yours. And I praised the Bengals yesterday on Twitter, on Facebook. I said nothing wrong about the Bengals, but you Bengals fans, you let me have it all night. You let me have it all today about the Browns losing the way that they did. So I just wanted to make sure I'm pointing out that you're watching the same team. Just one of the teams is injured. That's simple. We'll be back in a moment. 518-1410. All right, how about Lincoln Riley heading to USC? I love it. I love it. Quinn Ewers, will he ever take a snap for the Buckeyes moving forward? I have been adamant from the very beginning that I do not believe Quinn Ewers will ever play for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Technically, he did take a snap against Michigan State at the shoe. Technically, okay? So you could technically say I was wrong there. But at the end of the day, Quinn Ewers, I think, wants to play. He wants to start. He is an egomaniac, and I mean that in a good way. You don't become an egomaniac unless you're good enough to back it up. And the kid is good, and the kid has an ego. The kid wants to start. The kid wants to be in prime time. He doesn't want to be a backup. He's too good to be a backup. Quinn Ewers will not be a Buckeye next year. Where will he end up? Could it be with Lincoln Riley? I think that would be awesome. I am not a USC fan, but I am so beyond excited about Lincoln Riley going to USC because there's just certain teams that make football more interesting when they're good. When the Dallas Cowboys are good in the NFL, it's a good thing. The sport thrives off of it. And you're saying, no, it's not. I hate the Cowboys. But you have a reaction. If I said that the sport is good when the Bills are good, you're like, the Bills? No one cares about the Bills. But the Cowboys? Oh, you get pissed about the Cowboys. The NFL is better when the Cowboys are good, when they're in the playoffs, when they're competing, right? Like that. The Patriots, the same thing. You know, the NBA is more interesting when the Lakers are good, when LeBron James is good. You say you hate LeBron, but let's be clear. If LeBron's not in the playoffs, if he's not in a position to win a championship, you don't care. Lincoln Riley to USC is freaking awesome, and I love it. And we're going to talk about that next. I could try the phone lines again. 518-1410. Shaw, I saw you try to call in. Try it again. We'll see what we can work out. 518-1410. I'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with repetition. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's a repetitive ad. Okay. Research shows that people remember radio ads with repetition. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's a repetitive ad. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
More than 1 in 3 people will face cancer in their lifetime. Unfortunately, fear can stop you from getting your cancer screening, but it won't stop cancer. Early detection can save your life. Don't wait for symptoms to appear to act. Cancer screening is safe, effective, and accessible for everyone, including free or low-cost screening programs. Go to cancerscreeninfo.com right now for free screening resources and recommendations from the American Cancer Society. Don't wait. Early detection can save your life. Go to cancerscreeninfo.com today. cancerscreeninfo.com.
Right now, I'm getting bombarded with TV ads, postcards, and emails about Medicare Advantage programs, saying what I may be eligible for and what might be available. Sure, everyone wants better coverage, but don't tell me everything there is to know. Tell me what I need to know. EasyMedicare.com does just that. They cut through the confusion and give me simple, easy answers. Which plans let me keep my doctor, cover my prescriptions, and are accepted at my pharmacy? No guesswork, just answers.
Go to EasyMedicare.com. That's the letter E, the letter Z, Medicare.com. Or call 1-888-486-1662 to talk to a licensed insurance agent. But do it now. You've only got through December 7th. EasyMedicare.com. We make choosing a Medicare plan easy. 1-888-486-1662.
EasyMedicare.com is owned and operated by eTeleCode Insurance Inc. Duly licensed insurance agents. Need your eTeleCode Insurance agent or EasyMedicare.com is connected with or endorsed by the U.S. government and the federal Medicare program. In California, Florida, and New Mexico, we operate as eTeleCode Insurance Inc.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's here, the Menards Black Friday sale. Hurry in for best selection. Prices good through December 5th. Power all of your devices with a 30-pack of double or AAA AC Delco batteries. They're just $398 after rebate. Bath sets are the perfect gift to give this holiday season. Choose from Dove Men's or Axe bath sets. They're just $797 each. Check out these and more amazing Black Friday deals at Menards. Available in store only while supplies last.
Save big money at Menards.
Audible is best-selling audiobooks, exclusive originals, and podcasts all in one app. This holiday season, treat yourself with 60% off your first 3 months. Just visit audible.com for more details.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Justin Kinner back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The Justin Kinner Show brought to you by Orion Sports Medicine, OGW Energy Resources, and Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Ohio State losing over the weekend, of course, and it's always like this. Look, it's not that they lost, it's how they lost. And I was amazed. You know, every time, like, look, we are a fan base of the Buckeyes. Like, I know we're divided all the time when it comes to the Browns, when it comes to the Bengals, but we're all pretty much on the same page when it comes to the Ohio State Buckeyes. We're all on the same page. Losing sucks. And there are teams at times, like I do laugh at how immature I am when it comes to talking Browns Bengals. And I definitely laugh at how immature you guys are as well when it comes to talking about the Browns and the Bengals. But the one thing we can all agree on is the reason we sound so stupid together collectively. I know I'm a child and I throw out, oh man, that opinion's dumb. Shouldn't do that, but I do. Is what it is. The reason we sound so immature, the reason we sound so ridiculous is because at the end of the day, there's only one thing that the Bengals and Browns know how to do, fan base wise, and that's lose. We're used to losing. We're not no stranger to losing. What we don't know how to do is win. When the Browns win, we're obnoxious because we don't know when we'll be good again. So we got to take advantage of it, right? When the Bengals start winning, you guys are freaking annoying as hell. And that's not, and look, every fan base that's not the Browns can't stand Browns fans, but I promise you, you guys are bad. Like, it really is bad. I remember when I first started in sports radio, Mark Schlemmer and I had a conversation about this, and he goes, the one thing you're going to figure out very quickly is that the teams you like, you're going to start disliking them because of how obnoxious some of the fan base can be. And he was 1,000,000% right. Like, I do believe the narrative that I dislike UD has been built because of my heated debates and arguments with some of you Flyer fans. Not all of you Flyer fans are like that, but the loud, the loud fans, not the loud LOWD, shout out Sully, but the loud, obnoxious fans that have these really aggressive takes that are just so dumb, I argue with them. And then I get heated, and then I start saying things about the program that doesn't really impact me at all. I don't lose sleep over the Flyers program one way or another. And I end up sounding like I don't like them because I'm going at somebody that I'm arguing with about it. And it's kind of the same thing with the Bengals. I didn't hate the Bengals growing up. I didn't care about the Bengals growing up. I love Chad Johnson. Like, he was one of my favorites. If I did tune in to watch the Bengals, it was to watch Chad Johnson. I love Chad Johnson. I love the trash talk. Look, that's kind of my person. I love trash talking. I love going back and forth. I love all that. I love Contra. I love Terrell Owens. I loved him for the same reason. That's why, actually, there was a brief stretch. I wasn't a Bengals fan, but I remember I've only been to one NFL game, and I bought tickets to go watch the Bengals when they had Terrell Owens because I was obsessed with Terrell Owens and Chad Johnson. And T.O. actually had a good year that year for the Bengals. No one was expecting that because he was older and he hopped around from team to team. He was very productive, very productive. Chad Johnson, I love Chad Johnson. But I didn't care about the Bengals. But I do know you guys lose. You guys lose a lot. Okay? You had that 5-year stretch. Marvin Lewis turned things around. Super. It was a big deal because you guys don't win. You're not a good franchise. You are a joke of a franchise. Everybody makes fun of your franchise, just like they make fun of the franchise that I'm a fan of. We all have a lot in common. For as much as you and I go back and forth every single day, we all have a lot in common. We are fans of embarrassing franchises that have let us down more than they have lifted us up. So we panic. When there is a window of time that we get to be cocky and arrogant, we take it and we run with it. You get Joe Burrow, who did absolutely nothing, and you anointed him a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And as the season goes on, you are learning that your team is better with less of him. Baker Mayfield. I remember I ticked all of you guys off because his rookie year, I said Baker was the second best quarterback in the AFC North. At that time, Big Ben was still playing at a high level. I said Baker Mayfield was the second best quarterback in the AFC North because at the time, you had Big Ben playing at a high level. You had Andy Dalton with the Bengals, you had Joe Flacco with the Ravens, and you had Tyrod Taylor, the quarterback of the Browns. I did not want Tyrod Taylor to be the quarterback of the Browns. I wanted it to be Baker Mayfield. So I was adamant. Baker Mayfield is easily the second best quarterback in the AFC North. Definitely better than Joe Flacco. Definitely better than Andy Dalton. Definitely better than Tyrod Taylor. And I was right at that time. I remember Baker made his debut that night, and I go, here's what's going to happen. I remember that game against the Jets. Me and Schlemmer, it was the Kinder and Schlemmer show at the time. I painted the picture. I told Schlemmer my prediction that night. I said, hey, the Jets are going to look bad, but the Browns will look worse. The Browns are going to play an absolutely horrible first half, and that's good. The pressure was starting to mount. I said they will have to go to Baker Mayfield, and he will lead them from behind, and he will look like a superstar doing it, and they'll win. And sure enough, Tyrod was horrible. He was horrible. The Browns' offense was horrible. They put Baker Mayfield in, like in the final 2 minutes of the first half. led them right down the field and scored. Came out in the second half, was zipping the ball all over the field, doing all these crazy things. And Browns fan, we lost our mind. So, of course, I became even more obnoxious. Why? As a Browns fan, there's not many opportunities to be cocky. There's not many opportunities to run my mouth. So I took advantage of it, and I still am. The Browns are still a very good football team. That's why I chatter. That's why I talk so much smack. You guys are the same way. You guys have to talk smack about the Bengals because you know you are closer to being a joke again than you are to being elite. We all know that the Browns and Bengals, we try to act like we're better than the other. I'm no better than you, and you're definitely not better than me. Let's just be real. You're not Justin Kidder. Let's just be real. You're not better than me. I'm not better than you. We're the same. Our teams are a laughingstock. We literally sit here and argue about whose team is better when really everyone around the NFL still laughs at the Bengals. They still laugh at the Browns. It is what it is. The Baltimore Ravens roster is not even close to looking as talented on paper as the Bengals roster or the Browns, but yet people drool over the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is horrible more times than not. But because, oh my gosh, he runs fast and he throws a sidearm, people lose their mind over. All right. It amazes me. But the Baltimore Ravens have respect of the national media and football fans across the country. You know who doesn't respect the Cleveland Browns? Anybody that's not a Browns fan. You know who doesn't respect the Cincinnati Bengals? Anyone that doesn't say stupid things like "Who Dey." I mean, let's just be honest. We don't know how to win, which is why we sound like hillbilly radio when I'm calling you stupid and you're calling me a bandwagon joke of a radio host. And we sound dumb, guys, like we collectively. I'm not even calling you dumb. I'm calling me dumb as well. We sound like hillbillies arguing every day from 3 to 6 about the Browns and Bengals. Why? Because we don't know how to win. But you want to know what's funny? When I talk Buckeyes, we as Buckeye fans, we always have good conversation. We have good conversation. Why? Because we know how to win. When we win, we know how to act. But you want to know what happens? It's the opposite of being a Browns and Bengals fan. We don't know how to act as Browns and Bengals fans when our team wins because we're obnoxious, because we don't know how, because our team never wins. So when they do win, we're not really trained on how to act. It's kind of like being a Buckeye fan. When they win, we know how to act when they win. When our Bengals and Browns are losing, we know how to act when they're losing. As a Reds fan, I would love to know what it's like to be a fan of that team when they're winning. I wasn't doing sports radio back when they were making the playoffs in the early 2010s. So jealous of that. But the bottom line is I would love to find out what happens when the Reds are good, what kind of radio host I am at that time, right? So with the Buckeyes, it's different. When I talk Ohio State, it's much different than talking Browns-Bengals. But it is funny. The Buckeyes lost to Michigan over the weekend. Social media didn't know how to react. Michigan fans didn't know how to act. Some of you Michigan fans, you were talking smack, thinking that Ohio State fans were talking smack. I actually got to give it to Buckeye fans. There wasn't a whole lot of smack talk. Buckeye fans owned it for the most part. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have. There are annoying Buckeye fans, by the way. I was trying to tell this story earlier. Schlemmer told me that the teams that I follow, that I'm a fan of, the fan base will make me dislike them at times. That's kind of what happened with UD. I don't dislike UD. Some of their fans drive me crazy. So I get into it with them, and then I come across as hating them. That's not the case. I really don't hate the Bengals as much as you guys think I do, but some of you annoying Bengals fans really know how to bring the worst out in me, and then I'm painted as this guy that hates the Bengals, and I just kind of have to run with it. Ohio State, for the longest time, Buckeye fans thought I hated Ohio State. I mean, people couldn't stand my Ohio State takes because I didn't drool over the Buckeyes. I'm like, yeah, they're undefeated, but man, they looked really bad against that team. And those are the type of teams they need to look good against because I'm holding them to the standard of Alabama and Clemson. I don't care if they blew out a bad Iowa team. Like, you shouldn't lose to Iowa anyways. So then when I had the nerve to criticize them for losing to Iowa, people thought that I was the biggest Buckeye hater in the world. It's dumb. They're petty. But Buckeye fans, Browns, Bengals fans don't know how to act when they win. Buckeye fans don't know how to act when the team loses. And we're all confused right now. Like, I sat there and I'm like, all right, so what's next for Ohio State? I'm like, oh yeah, they don't play next Saturday. Man, they don't play again technically until January 1st. Holy crap. It's not even December yet. It's November. They won't play again until January. Like I'm sitting here having to wrap my head around that. I'm like, what is going on? This feels weird. I should be prepping for a Big Ten championship game. It's weird. Losing is weird. I don't know how to act when the Buckeyes lose. I don't know how to host a show when the Buckeyes lose. because I'm so used to them winning. It's second nature to talk about the Buckeyes winning. It's second nature to talk about the Buckeyes in the Big Ten championship game. It's second nature to talk about Ohio State beating Michigan. My whole world's all tossed upside down right now. Buckeye and Bengals and Browns fans, we don't know. We sound like a bunch of hillbillies every day from 3 to 6 because we don't know how to handle our teams winning. I don't even know how to sound right now about the Buckeyes because I'm not used to them losing. It's that simple. But I will say this. Them losing to Michigan, it stinks. It's not a big deal. Here's why. It's not a big deal until you lose that second straight game. Right now, Ryan Day, Jim Harbaugh are 1-1 against one another. Last year didn't happen, right? I do believe last year Ohio State would have won. I was very cocky about Ohio State winning this year, and I don't feel bad that I was that cocky about it. Ohio State's offense was so damn good, but my goodness, Michigan just overwhelmed Ohio State. I don't even think Michigan fans out there really expected that. Let's just be honest. We didn't. You didn't. But is what it is. But man, that was fun until the scoreboard hit 0, and then I was like, what the hell? They actually just lost. The season's over. My goodness. I'm sorry we didn't get into the Lincoln Riley to USC stuff today. We will dive into that tomorrow. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, excited that he's going to join the show tomorrow. We'll hang out with him. But until tomorrow, appreciate everybody. Let's talk some Buckeyes some more, though. The Buckeye Roundtable with Skip Mossick, Paul Keels, and the gang. That is coming up next. And don't forget that tomorrow night, Ohio State, the Buckeyes welcome in the Duke Blue Devils. Mike Krzyzewski, his farewell tour, makes a stop in Columbus, and you'll hear some about that matchup coming up on the Buckeye Roundtable as well. What's next for the Buckeyes as they lost their regular season finale against Michigan? I'm sure that'll be the talk of the show coming up. The Buckeye Roundtable next.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
For the ones who get going when the going gets tough. And the ones who know we're tougher together. For the Pathfinders breaking new ground. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as fast access to experts and 24/7 customer support. Because we know you have people depending on you, so you can always depend on us. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Is your vehicle ready for holiday travel? O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you save on your next oil change. Right now, get a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after mail-in rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic Motor Oil for $32.95. Plus, earn double O Rewards points with your purchase. Stop by